following is a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.
Welcome to NASCAR Sprint Cup Countdown, presented by Napa. Charlotte, North Carolina, a place where tonight NASCAR history and tradition intertwine with a contemporary clash for the title. 12 chasers come to the Queen City in a quest to become the sport's king. To do so, they must first wrestle the crown away from Jimmie Johnson, who is once again threatening to extend his reign. Championship leader Carl Edwards has the advantage, but a 1-point lead over Kevin Harvick is hardly enough. Pressure is mounting, and new challenges await. Chase race number 5 is upon us. Who will capitalize on the hometown turf and be halfway home to a title? There's Jimmie Johnson down there in the crowd. There he is. Back in victory lane last week in Kansas. A statement race for sure as he snapped a 21-race winless streak and pulled himself up to third in the standings. So after a slow start that left him a career low 10th in points after 2 chase races, it's fair to say the champ has rebounded. On the strength of his Dover and Kansas runs, Johnson is now just 4 points out of the lead and appears poised for a charge as he arrives at a track where he's been nothing short of spectacular.
Here comes Jimmie Johnson. Banks the Coca-Cola 640 seconds to burn. This has been the most dominant performance by a race car I've seen in quite a while.
Jimmie Johnson wins his second straight Coke 600.
Jimmie Johnson has had a wild night.
The guys are the best.
Here he comes. He did it. 3 in a row. Jimmie Johnson.
Another win here at what he calls his house.
But Jimmie Johnson, 4 in a row. Wins again here at Lowe's. Good job, dude. Got to be kidding me.
A lot of good memories for Jimmie Johnson at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, but how do we, the last of those wins, by the way, came 2 years ago. How do we get some of that My House magic back in the 48 today?
Well, I think we have things going the right way. We've been very strong on the mile and a halves, and after last weekend's performance, we've come here and we've qualified pretty good for our standards here of late, especially on a mile and a half, and had a strong practice yesterday and looking forward to a good race tonight. But, max points would be awesome to have, but as we get going here, there's really 2 guys I'm really worried about in front of me, and just starting to worry about 3, 4, 5 guys now, and if we can keep outrunning them, that fixes the big picture.
When we come to this place with so much success and the family atmosphere, does it bring more pressure on you, or does it sort of take some away?
I don't know if it changes the pressure. The day goes by really fast. I mean, I see so many friends. There's such a great welcome here on the front stretch that the Speedway's putting on. There's just a lot going on, so it's active and busy, and can't wait to go racing. It's tough to wake up so early and then wait all day to go racing. I love night racing, but been waiting to do this for a long time today.
Well, now you've had the countdown interview, so it officially gets started for Jimmie Johnson. He's won 3 of the 7 chase races here. Mike Massaro?
Thank you, Dave. And there are very few places in the world of racing with a better vantage point than this. Tucked inside the Charlotte Motor Speedway, just behind pit road. You can see that right there, the most exciting studio in sports television. That is the ESPN Pit Studio. Hello, everybody, and welcome inside the ESPN Pit Studio. I'm Mike Massaro, filling in for Nicole Briscoe tonight, alongside a guy who has won here several times, Rusty Wallace and Brad Doherty down on the end. And we're all talking about Jimmie Johnson. He's on a tear right now. What effect do you think this surge that he's having right now has on the mindset of those guys trying to chase him down?
Well, Mike, right now, he is absolutely he's in everybody's head at the moment. I mean, they thought the guy was gone. They thought he was in trouble. They did not think they were going to have to compete against him this year. But then he goes to Dover, Delaware, and he finished second. Then he goes to Kansas City, and he's won. I'm telling you what, this guy is back. 05 time has resurfaced.
Yeah, and the problem comes that Jimmie's back to his normal self come playoff time, where he's putting the pressure on his competitors. And you see Carl Edwards bounce back from his Kansas mistake, his Dover mistake. Same thing with Kevin Harvick last week. The problem with that is it becomes exhausting. You're continually fighting back while this guy is fighting for wins. You have to be fighting for victories in this chase if you're going to have a chance to supplant 05 time.
Yeah, and it's not just Jimmie Johnson that's in the mix here. It's an incredibly tight championship battle, as you see in the standings. 8 drivers sit within 20 points of the championship lead. Only 1 point separate the top 2, Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick. And certainly there are other contenders in the mix there as well. Matt Kenseth has to be considered one of them. But
yes,
in your opinion, gentlemen, who do you think can step up and beat Jimmie Johnson and take that title away?
Mike, I think it's going to be Carl Edwards. I mean, to me, the next race is the most important race. It's everything in the world. And the reason I'm saying Carl Edwards is because last time he was here, he won the All-Star race, and he really ran good in his 600. This guy's flat flying around this racetrack. He has qualified good again. He's third tonight. I think he could step up and get it done, Brad.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Carl Edwards is a great choice. But the guy for me, if I was a betting man, and I'm not, I would bet my money, though, on Kevin Harvick, just simply because he takes a poor handling race car and works on it throughout the day, or either he qualifies poorly, starts in the back, but by the time the checkered flag falls, he's sniffing it. And I think Kevin Harvick is a blue-collar race car driver that continues to grind. Qualified 14th for tonight. I'd be worried to death about Kevin Harvick.
All right, here's how the front of the grid will look for tonight. Matt Kenseth qualified on the outside of the front row. He's one of 3 Roush Fenway cars to qualify inside the top 5. And there's the champ, Jimmie Johnson. He qualified on the inside of row number 5. Everyone, though, will be following Tony Stewart to the green after he scored his first pole of the season. He won the Coors Light pole, and he's with Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, thanks, Mike. During the first 4 races of the chase this year, Tony Stewart averaged a 24th place finish and spent most of his focus trying to get track position. Tony, tonight, that's not the case. On the pole, by the way, congratulations. You've got it at the start. How aggressive are you willing to be early on to hang on to it?
Well, you still got to remember it's a 500-mile race, so the only thing that matters is that last lap. So, you'd love to get out there right away and get a point for leading a lap. And, if you can get out there and lead a bunch of laps and then go for that lap bonus for leading the most laps. So, but we got a really good office deep on Mobil 1 Chevy, and, got a bunch of people from Mobil 1 here this weekend. And we got a big car show tomorrow at Stewart-Haas Racing, and we got Toby and Sons hot dogs there tomorrow. So I'm really excited to get over there for one of those, and just excited tonight. I mean, it's going to be odd to be actually watch them drop the green flag versus actually having to drive through it after they started.
You're making me hungry. Hey, thanks for your time and good luck tonight.
Everybody, thanks.
Tony Stewart's a 2-time champion. Will lead him down to the green flag. Mike?
He may have a car show coming up, but that's the car everyone's looking at. The pole-winning car of Tony Stewart. The battle for the championship lead could not be tighter. Kevin Harvick sits just 1 point behind Carl Edwards. We'll talk to the championship leaders when we return to NASCAR Countdown. Lots coming up, guys.
I need that in my living room. What looked good, wasn't it?
Now, that's a big screen there.
Man.
It is.
NASCAR Countdown on ABC. Presented by Napa. Napa Know-How.
Tomorrow, Open Wheel Racing crowns a champion in Las Vegas. Dario Franchitti is on top, heading towards his 3rd consecutive title. But Will Power's 18 points away from playing spoiler. And Danica says farewell to the sport that made her a superstar. The Izod IndyCar Series World Championship at Las Vegas tomorrow at 3 Eastern on ABC, presented by Sunoco.
Welcome back to NASCAR Countdown. Lots of excitement building on the grid as we get closer to the green flag for the Bank of America 500. Will anyone be able to take this trophy away from Jimmie Johnson? Chase race number 5 is upon us, and still no one has emerged as a clear-cut favorite. Point leader Carl Edwards wants to be that guy. Will he be able to get it done tonight? He's with Shannon Spake. Well, we'll get back down there in just a moment. First, we'll take it back into the ESPN pit studio. We'll talk a little bit about this championship battle. Jimmie Johnson, we talked a little bit about how he's been on a tear lately. Let's talk about the other guys trying to chase him. Who's his biggest threat?
I think his biggest threats are definitely Tony Stewart and Matt Kenseth. I mean, just look at the front row right now. These guys, both of them, don't usually qualify good at all. Now they're in the front row. For me, that spells that they're going to flat fly around this racetrack tonight. So, guys, I'm picking a 14 and a 17. Kenseth is ready. In fact, he's a little mad because we haven't been talking about him a whole lot.
We had, and
so he's got a big right foot going on right now.
It's a mistake on our behalf, too, because Matt Kenseth is the champion. He's very capable of winning all this, as well as Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards. We know what they're all about. But the guy for me who still has an opportunity is Kyle Busch. We've seen his excellence in the regular season, but come playoff time, come postseason, they struggle, and they're struggling right now. But I will not believe that we will go this entire chase without Kyle Busch running up front and win a couple races. It just will not happen.
This is an ultra-fast, mile-and-a-half racetrack, very challenging. What's it going to take to win tonight?
Mike, you're going to have to keep up with the changing track conditions. These conditions are going to cool down a lot. The track's going to get real fast. The chassis will change speed. You got to keep up with it, or else you're going to lose.
You have to have adjustability in a race car. And historically, when we've come here to race, we would try to run a race car a little bit loose under these conditions simply because it cools off and the grip comes up. But I actually talked to some crew chiefs today who told me they're going to tighten their car up a little bit, see how the tire falls off, and see what they have at the end of that first run. So it's a mix of what we got adjustability-wise, but they have to adjust.
One guy who knows a lot about adjustability is our expert tech guy. Of course, that is Tim Brewer. He's in the Craftsman Tech Garage. Let's check in with him and have him explain what it's going to take to win tonight.
Mike, to keep up with this racetrack, sometimes tonight a wedge adjustment's not going to be enough. Air pressure, it's the crew chief's best friend, but it's not going to be enough. So what we do prior to the race, we'll take the springs out of the car. We'll rate them, check how much weight goes on each spring. Then we insert the rubber into the spring, calibrate it again. We know exactly how much it changes it, because to free a car up tonight, if we want to take 50 pounds of spring rate away from that, we pull that rubber out, enables our car to turn through the corner, give us a chance to win the race here in Charlotte. Good night, Mike.
Thank you, Tim. Hey, you look down there on the grid, you see flashes of pink. That's because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and a lot of teams showing their support tonight with a little pink. There's a ribbon there on a car. I know that Brad Doherty has had a pink tie on. I've got a pink tie on.
I'm sporting it, too.
Lots of support. Because you know why? There's another race to win tonight, and that is the race for the cure.
Absolutely.
NASCAR Countdown on ABC, presented by Napa, Napa Know-How, and Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Welcome back to NASCAR Countdown, presented by Napa. We're inching closer and closer to the green flag for the Bank of America 500. Race 5 of the 2011 Chase for the Sprint Cup. Someone could take a step closer to claiming the title tonight. Could it be the current point leader, Carl Edwards? He's with Shannon Spake.
Well, Mike, last week Carl Edwards rebounded from 2 laps down to get a 5th place finish. Could be the defining moment as you go for this championship. What message did that send to the rest of the chasers, Carl?
I don't know what message it sent to the rest of the guys, but it reminded us that you can never give up, and you got to always prepare for things to go your way. So I'm so proud of my guys for sticking with me and focusing and making changes throughout the race that we've never made. So we're hoping we can come out of here with a victory for our Aflac team. We hope it's not as hard as it was at Kansas, but we're having fun. The chase has been good to us so far, and we've got 6 races to go, and we're just hoping to start off those last 6 with a really solid finish here tonight.
Let's talk about tonight's race. You're the first to admit this always hasn't been a good track for you. However, you won the All-Star race. How did that win change things?
Well, I think that gave us a little bit more confidence here. We've come here and truly struggled. I mean, my first race here was awful, then a crash, and it's gone slightly better since then. But until that All-Star race, we didn't know that we could really come here and win a race. And that confidence means a lot. And I think from the way our teammates ran and all our Fords ran, I think we've got a good shot tonight.
Carl Edwards, he's your points leader, and he rolls off 3rd. Duck?
Well, Shannon, in spite of his win here back in May, historically, Kevin Harvick hasn't been overly fond of this place. And the team says that typically Kevin gets grumpy on Charlotte week. But this week, they tell me, you've been smiling and very relaxed. What should that tell us, Kevin?
Well, I don't have anything to be grumpy about. We did a good job here the last time. The car, our Jimmy John Chevrolet, unloaded well this time. And we qualified decent from what we usually qualify. So it's been comfortable to drive this week, and we just got to go out and do everything we can to get the best finish that we can tonight.
Kevin, a lot of crew chiefs talking about how much grip there'll be tonight and how much speed the cars will have. So many cars so close together. How concerned are you it'll be pretty difficult to pass?
It's going to be tough to pass, but I don't think that's going to be any different than the first race. I think you're going to see a lot of tire strategy. If it comes down to the end, you probably see some fuel strategy. So the cars are so fast that I think the bottom is going to be the place to be, and that's what makes it hard to pass.
Hey, good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Kevin Harvick rolls off 14th. Mike?
Thank you, Doc. And gentlemen, it's time for you to show us your Napa know-how and give us your 3 keys to tonight's race.
Now, Mike, number 1 for me, pit road. Do not make any mistakes. Don't get caught speeding on pit road. Mistakes are going to be something that's going to kill you in this chase. You don't want to do that. No mistakes on pit road.
Got to have adjustability built in your race car. As the temperature drops, the grip comes up. These guys are approaching 200 miles an hour as they barrel off into one. Those 4 Goodyear Eagles, you want them hooked up at those speeds.
Brad, we're going to have some cool temperatures tonight, and I think tire strategy is going to be important. I think 2 tires will work, only because it's so cool out here. So look, if you get back in the pack, you need to put 2 right sides on to get some track position. Man, don't be afraid of it. Get up there and do it.
All right, lots of talk, obviously, about the Chasers, but there are guys who didn't qualify for the chase who would love to crash that chase party and pick up a win tonight, perhaps play a spoiler. Who else should we be watching out for this evening?
Well, the guy for me is A.J. Allmendinger. He's done a great job this season. He's had 12 top 10 starts this year. He's qualified on the front row second 3 times. So I'm looking for him to take advantage of this 4th place qualifying effort for RPM and get the finish lane. He's got the starts. Now let's finish.
Mike, for me, it's going to be Casey Keenan at Red Bull Toyota, the number 4 car. He's been flat flying. I mean, this guy was second last weekend. He's qualified 8th for today. He loves the Charlotte Motor Speedway, likes that high line. Casey Kane, man, I think he can win this thing.
You know, an interesting stat about Casey Kane since the beginning of the chase, he's accumulated 144 points. Believe it or not, that's more than 8 of the Chasers. And obviously, he's been pretty good here in Charlotte, too.
Yes, sir.
He's with Dave Burns right now. Dave?
And Mike, he's had just about the fastest car all weekend long while the sun was up, and then qualifying came, and it didn't seem like your car was as good. You still start 8th. Any concerns as the temperatures go down, Casey?
Well, we were a little bit looser that night and didn't put the lap down. I think we could have ran, so it was still at speed for as loose as that was. So I think we're in good shape. We had really good practices with the Red Bull Toyota, and we'll see how tonight goes. This race, so many different scenarios and things play out that hopefully we're in the right spot at the right time and have that track position late.
3 Charlotte wins, 4 if you count the All-Star win. What is it you get about this place, Casey?
Keeping your speed up, keeping your momentum up. You know, how do you do that? And we've been able to do it a lot here for whatever reason, but you know, that's how you have to. If you can keep your speed up here and not use a lot of brake and slow the car down, you usually can go pretty fast.
Mike, you mentioned it. Even though he's not in the chase, only 4 guys have scored more points than him since it started this year.
Yeah, he's been incredibly strong. Thank you, Dave. And, well, this is a racetrack that has been on the circuit for decades, and it's always been challenging, Rusty. Well, what are the trouble spots to watch out for tonight?
Well, Mike, you're definitely going to have to look at the entry of turn 1, especially on restarts. Those guys can get down to turn 1 side by side, pretty ambitious, and a lot of times they get in there too tight. They spin, get into turn 1. They end up landed in turn 2.
Yeah.
The other spot we're going to have to take a look is the exit of turn 4. Turn 4 is a real trouble spot, in my opinion. As you exit turn 4, a lot of banking right there, and right around where those lights are flashing that wrecker, it really flattens out big time. You lose that banking, the car gets loose. A lot of times you see cars spin right there, Brad.
Yeah, man, let me tell you, this racetrack is just bad fast.
Yeah.
And what we see is a lot of air moving around these race cars. And when they run side by side, just like Rusty's talking about, off into these corners, that car on the outside has all of the air on the side of the car. It creates side force. Well, unfortunately, for the guy on the inside, there's no air on that race car. There's nothing holding that race car. So we see a lot of guys spin from the inside a lot here, and that can be treacherous for the entire field. No side force, no side grip. Inside, it's a problem.
Another thing this track has been known for over the years is really temperature sensitive.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you expect the racetrack to change tonight?
Well, since it's been repaid from the old days, Mike, it's not near as temperature sensitive, but it is very sensitive at that. So as it cools down, the RPMs of the engines are going to come way up. We could see some engine failures. Definitely more RPMs and definitely a changing car. The car will handle different later tonight as it does at the start of the race. So look for big changes right there. I'm sure the guys upstairs are going to talk about it, but it's one thing we'll be looking at also.
All right, well, lots to watch out for tonight, to say the least. Race 5 of the chase is upon us. Plenty of excitement here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Guys, it's time for me to say goodbye. Thank you for having me in your
Hey,
suit.
man. Hey,
well, I got this little fire suit I'm wearing. I'm going to head out to where I really work. That's down on Pit Road.
We like having you with us.
Who's in charge?
I like being here.
That means I'm in charge.
Alan Bestman's not going to like to hear this.
For everybody.
But
Pizza
Brad
for
Doherty's
everybody.
in charge of the pit studio. Folks, thanks for being with us. Enjoy the race tonight. After this message, a word from our ABC stations. It's going to be a good one.
Bring me a hot dog.
It's It's a beautiful night at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where they've been having races for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series since 1960. But in 1992, they added lights to this mile-and-a-half track, and that created a whole new dimension.
To be at your best when the lights are brightest, that's a tough thing to do. Because lights expose cracks, expose weakness, and the world is watching.
Yeah, so Toronto's sticking, damn it! We lost another green.
But there can be no fear, not with 6 races left in the chase. With 6 races left, it's time to make a move.
Game on from this point on.
Time to bust out from the pack.
Drive away, baby.
To have that week you've been waiting for.
You're way better than all these guys in front of you. Just keep doing what you're doing. This is our time.
And to do it under the lights, in prime time, well, that's more than a win. That's a declaration. That's a 5-page spread, a nationwide release starring, remember me. People love the lights. Lights are exciting. The lights mean something incredible is about to happen. And we're waiting. We're waiting. That's what the lights do. They present the opportunity to shine.
Something incredible is about to happen. Under the lights in race 5 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, the Bank of America 500 from the Charlotte Motor Speedway in Concord, North Carolina. 43 drivers are set to go racing on a fast and very tricky track. One of those 43 is about to participate in tonight's opening ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hats as the Air Force ROTC Detachment 592 from the University of North Carolina at Charlotte presents our nation's colors. Remain standing as NASCAR Sprint Cup Series driver Trevor Bayne offers tonight's invocation.
You guys will just pray with me. God, we thank you tonight for the opportunity to be here and just glorify you in this way, Lord, to be able to drive race cars and watch them go around the track and work on them. I just pray that you'd watch over us, Father, and grow us closer to you. If nothing else, just grow us closer to you and help us to glorify you. Thank you, Lord, for the freedom that you've given us to do this, just to pray to you tonight. Thank you for the men and the women that have given us this freedom, and thank you for all the fans that are here to support us and just everybody that helps to make this happen. I thank you for all that you are and loving us unconditionally, and I just pray that we give that back to you. Thank you, Father, for this night. In Jesus' name, amen.
Here to perform our national anthem, please welcome Academy of Country Music Female Vocalist of the Year and current Country Music Association nominee for Single and Female Vocalist of the Year, RCA recording artist Sarah Evans.
Oh, say, can you see? Early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets reckless, the bombs bursting gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet o'er the land of
With some final family moments shared, now time to clear the grid. The drivers will buckle in and get ready to go racing tonight. Join Goodyear in saluting America's armed forces and give back by helping support our troops. Visit Goodyear.com/support-our-troops to learn more. The engines will fire at Charlotte for race number 5 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup when we come back.
ESPN's coverage of the Bank of America 500 on ABC. Brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of NASCAR, AT&T, and Golden Corral. Help yourself to happiness.
Getting set to go with race 5 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, the Bank of America 500 on the very fast mile-and-a-half Charlotte Motor Speedway. Remind you to make sure to stay tuned for our NASCAR nonstop coverage in the second half of tonight's race. Coverage presented by Bank of America. Drivers buckling in, getting set to go for tonight's race. And topside of the broadcast booth, we are set to go with a former driver and crew chief who know what it takes to win at this racetrack. Alan Bestrup with 3-time Charlotte winning driver Dale Jarrett and Charlotte winning crew chief Andy Petrie. Late May 29th, the Memorial Weekend was the first of the 2 races this season at this racetrack that count toward the championship. In that race, the 12 drivers competing for the title had varying degrees of success, from Kevin Harvick, who won the race, to Kyle Busch and Ryan Newman, who had finishes down in the 30s. The degree of difficulty at this racetrack, Dale, it's pretty high.
Yeah, you know, we talk about a lot of the mile-and-a-half racetracks being very similar. Well, this one has a lot of characteristics that makes it different. Very, very fast. Speeds approaching 200 miles per hour in the Trove, going down the front straightaway to a hump entering turn 1 that your car literally lands into the 24-degree banking. Then, as you take that 24-degree banking with a lot of speed on the exit of 2 and 4, it flattens out, falls away from you, makes the car extremely loose. These drivers have a full night of 500 miles of very challenging racing ahead of them.
And that speed that Dale's talking about, it's there and it's visible. We're going to see it tonight. And it also puts a challenge and a premium on the setup, because these cars are going so fast that they're going to go faster as we go into the night, and the tires hold up so well. The speeds are going to hold up, and that's going to open up a lot of strategy options.
And you see that most of the crashes happen at the exit of those corners, turns 2 and 4.
Yeah, we could add some more to those stats before this night's over.
So 43 drivers set to go 500 miles, the 12 competing for the championship, the race within the race. Now, to get that all started, they just need the command to crank the engines, and we'll go racing tonight under the lights.
Please welcome our Grand Marshal, Director of Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math for Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools, Dr. Cindy Moss.
Before I get to the 4 most important words of the evening so far, I'd like to say thank you to Bank of America for your commitment to high-quality education in Charlotte and our country, for helping us use NASCAR to motivate students to study STEM, and for honoring our teachers. I'd also like to ask each and every one of you in the stands to think of a teacher that's made a difference in your life, and really decide that this week to call, contact, and thank them for what they've done. Now, with no further ado, gentlemen, start your engines.
Be ready for 2 old Toms. She's running. And so you're really playing tonight, guys. Keep communicating, Todd. Man, what are you doing?
Most of the time, these drivers go racing at 1 or 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. So for a Saturday night race, it's been a long wait. But the moment is here, as we heard Jimmy Johnson talk about earlier in NASCAR Countdown, ready to get behind the wheel and go competing on this very quick racetrack. Our in-race reporter tonight is the man who enters this race 4th in the championship, a young sophomore Michigan native who's kind of an upstart this season, daring to give the sport's best a run for the championship. We'll talk with Brad Keselowski on the parade and pace laps as we get ready to start the Bank of America 500. Brad Keselowski, the 27-year-old Michigan native, has had quite the summer into fall on the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Scored a win at the Kansas Speedway in June, followed it up with a win at Pocono Raceway in Pennsylvania in August, and the night race at Bristol to end that month of August. Now Brad competing in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup as we wind throughout the autumn of 2011. Brad is our in-race reporter for tonight. Show you the starting lineup for tonight's race across the top of the screen. Got to wait a little while before we find Brad because he's a little bit farther back in the field. Brad, also the subject of our Gillette Pro Glide profile. Last 3 months have sure turned a lot of skeptics into believers. Compare the beginning of his Sprint Cup career to those last 11 weeks.
Yeah, count me as a believer. Yeah, I'll tell you what, not only am I a believer, he's made a believer out of everybody in that garage area.
And as he rolls off in that Blue Deuce tonight to begin the 3 parade and pace laps, let's talk to our in-race reporter.
Hey, Brad, Dale Jarrett, the ESPN. You have a copy?
Step 4. How are you, Dale?
I'm doing great, Brad. Hey, man, we've been talking all weekend about the grip that this place has, how fast it is. In your opinion, has it created any more challenges that may be a little different because of the speed that you have here right now?
Oh, absolutely. This Charlotte track with the tire that Goodyear brought is a completely different animal. It's a really high grip tire, and you drive your car differently here than all the other mile and a half. So a lot of challenges due to the high speeds and high grip level that are much different.
All right, Brad, our second question comes from our mailbag, and Tyler in Cherry, Illinois asks, do you think your experience winning last year's nationwide championship is helping you this year competing in the chase?
Absolutely. You know, it's more than my experience, though. It's the experience of the whole team, from Paul on top of the box to, the car chief, Jerry Kelly, everybody on the team that came over from the nationwide side. Got a real good group of guys there, and we learned a lot. Had a lot of fun last year, and we're doing the same thing this year, and hopefully we'll get the same result.
All right, man. Thanks for talking with us. You have a great night. Now Andy's going to talk to your crew chief, Paul Wolf.
Hey, Paul, Andy Petrie in the booth. You have us?
Clear, Andy.
You know, Paul, speaking of that run you guys made for that nationwide championship last year, how's it different this year making the calls to try to win a Sprint Cup championship?
So more competition is probably the biggest thing. Obviously this is the the top of the sport here, and all the best guys making decisions on top of the box. So definitely makes it tougher, but we're having a lot of fun with it, like Brad said, and just trying to do what we did to get into the chase, and that's put together solid races and make good calls. And we might not always have the fastest car, but making good decisions, just executing well has definitely helped us get here.
Yeah, Paul, you guys have done a great job so far. Keep it up. Thanks for talking to us, man.
No problem. Thank you.
Brad Keselowski, Paul Wolf, and the Penske Racing Team getting set to go to the post from 26th starting spot tonight. Carrying one of our 8 high-definition onboard cameras for this race. We've got cameras in cars of 7 of the 12 chase for the Sprint Cup drivers, including the top 4 in the championship, plus a 4-time Charlotte winner. That would be Mark Martin.
Mark said he's got a good car tonight, too.
And as the cars work through the second of their 3 pace laps, let's get some final stories from pit road before it gets really noisy down there. Mike Massaro's made the quick change. Michael?
I have, and the change being the operative word. There was a big change in the 18 camp this weekend, not one that Kyle Busch was happy about either. They had to change motors. What happened after final practice, the team was maintaining the motor. They stripped out a bolt from the engine head. It was damage that could not be repaired. Subsequently, they made the change, and by rule, we'll have to start at the back of the field tonight. Kyle describes this racetrack as his favorite, yet he's never won here. To claim his first win at the Charlotte Motor Speedway in the Cup side of things, he has to come from a long ways back, Shannon Spake.
Well, here are some things you should know about Carl Edwards. He's the points leader. He won the nationwide race here last night, and he drives a Ford. Coincidentally, 110 years ago this week, Henry Ford drove his car to victory lane for the very first time. It was the only time Henry Ford would actually compete in a race, but the publicity was enough for him to open the company 10 months later and build it to what it is today. Carl Edwards is absolutely aware of the anniversary and would like nothing more than to celebrate it in victory lane. Dave Burns?
Jimmie Johnson doesn't lead the chase, Shannon, but he is on his way. Look at this team pumped up on the wall already to tell their driver they are ready to win. He's third right now, just 4 points behind leader Edwards, and he's on his way. A big win last week at Kansas, big history of success here at Charlotte, big momentum right now for the 48. Watch out, here they come. Dr. Jerry Punch.
Well, Dave, a few weeks ago, a very frustrated Tony Stewart told me that, he didn't know if this team even belonged in the chase because they were enduring a 32-race winless streak. Then he promptly went out and won the first 2 races in NASCAR's version of the postseason playoffs. But after finishing 25th at Dover and 15th last week at Kansas, tonight at Charlotte, once again, there's that word, a very frustrated Tony Stewart is back in a very fast race car. So for the other 42 drivers in the field, it's going to be one heck of a fight. Alan?
Thank you, Doc. Getting set to see a lot of sparks fly here at Charlotte tonight. I wasn't talking about there. I'm talking about from under the race cars when they wave the green flag. Fans are ready. And we're about a half a lap away from the start of tonight's race. Our over-the-wall camera tonight is with the front tire carrier for David Gilliland's 34 team, Anwar Parrish, Shelby, North Carolina native. Anwar, have a great night down there. Get his interval workout about 8 or 9 times, 12 seconds at a time. Slinging those heavy race tires around. We'll have fun watching Anwar. Remind you that our broadcast tonight available in Spanish by activating your SAP button. Coverage there presented by ESPN Deportes. So, 334 laps to make up just over 500 miles around this mile-and-a-half track tonight. Temperatures expected to drop into the 50s as the race goes on. Speeds, well, we'll see high speeds in the 190-mile-an-hour range to start when these cars take off at the beginning of this race. Race 5 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup on the fast and fickle Charlotte Motor Speedway. About to get underway. Green flag is in the air. Engine scream off into turn 3.
Tony Stewart got a great start there. You see Matt Kenseth right on his bumper, but Tony's shown a lot of speed all weekend with this 14 car.
As the pole sitter, Stewart had the right to choose inside or outside lane for that start. He chose outside lane. See if that becomes a trend on the restarts through the night. Ryan Newman in that white car with a lime green spoiler riding the rim. Trying to get a spot there from Greg Biffle, which he'll do. Biffle in the 16. One of the cars that looked really good in practice.
There's another one that looked good. Casey Kane in that 4 car up on the high side trying to make it work early on.
And now Kane running in ninth spot. Challenged there by Trevor Bayne in the 21, the Daytona 500 winner.
Trevor's got that cool paint scheme there. You see him getting just a little bit loose through the corner. Like Casey Kane might be able to get by him. But Trevor's got that paint scheme on there with Glenn Wood on the hood.
Famed Wood Brothers team. The car for which Trevor Bayne drives. And being challenged there by David Reagan in the 6.
One of David Reagan in that UPS Ford, one of his best racetracks.
Finished second here in the 600 back in May. Stewart and Kenseth, then the gap back to Edwards in third. Allmendinger, Biffle, Newman, and then Jimmy Johnson. Look at this double wide. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr., green and silver car. Joey Logano in the orange car on the outside.
Yeah, things kind of calm up front, but you get back here, there's a lot of fighting going on for these spots.
Junior to 16th, Logano 17th, double wide. Kurt Busch and Denny Hamlin, 2 of the drivers in the championship. Busch in the yellow 22. And Jeff Gordon behind them in the 24. Pretty, I'll call it mid-pack. I was about to say really deep in the field, but we'll give him mid-pack.
Well, for Jeff Gordon, that is fairly deep in the pack.
So, Dale, most of the practice for this race was done in the late afternoon and early evening yesterday. Conditions, it's a little bit later in the night now. What are these drivers feeling? What are they seeing in these opening laps?
Well, the one good thing about that is you know that you're going to get more grip with the race car at this time. So it's not like a situation maybe that you practiced with a cool racetrack and you've got sunshine and much more temperature. So I think this is an easier situation, but you will have to make some adjustments, especially early on in these pit stops.
And this time of year, you don't have near the transition with the racetrack that you do earlier in the year when you have the sun on it, even at this time of night. So it's been dark for a while. The track's cool. Speeds are high.
Here comes Greg Biffle in that 16 on the move.
Yeah, a lot of people pointing towards Greg Biffle from practice yesterday. Said this is a car that you better watch. We know that the drivers that are fighting for the chase, they want as many points as they can get, but it could be people like Biffle and Allmendinger that really get in the mix and separate them as far as the points go.
That's 4th place Biffle just moved into. Hard to believe it's been over a year since he won a race, but 2011 season has been one of running well, leading a lot of laps, and not being able to finish it at the end of the day. Jimmie Johnson had a lot of people talking about disappointment in 2011. Certainly in this championship till
last week.
The last 2 weeks.
Man, last week, I'm telling you, he put a whooping on him. And I'm watching him tonight just to see if we see that kind of performance again. I mean, he was really head and shoulders better than anybody last week as far as speed. Looks like he's pretty good right now, too.
Led the most laps in the last 2 races, finishing second and first. Brad Keselowski started 26th in the field.
All the way up to 25th right now.
And trying to get 24th. And I talked to his crew chief, Paul Wolfe, earlier in the day, and he said, I don't think against this much competition we're going to be able to just drive up through there. We're going to have to do some things with strategy on pit road to get some track position.
And he's one of the best strategists on the pit road. I really believe that they execute a race and the calls better than anybody. I mean, even though they've only been, this is their first chase, so they're new to this series, but they do a really good job of managing a race.
I think it would be easy to say if you can pick up 4 or 5 spots on the racetrack during a run and then some strategy that might get you literally 8 or 10 possibly, then that's how you manage the race a little bit better. You'll have enough pit stops and things to make everything happen the way you need to.
Just underway at Charlotte, Tony Stewart has led all of the laps so far, but we've only run 11 of 334 in the Bank of America 500. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. What a spectacular sight. Charlotte Motor Speedway all lit up for the only night race in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. The Bank of America 500 just underway and caution-free so far. Let's take an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. The track record for average speed over the course of a race set by Jeff Gordon. The fastest lap in this race so far, talked about speeds on the night, Tony Stewart, 189-mile-an-hour average lap.
Pretty quick. That's down in the mid-28 second bracket.
And NASCAR fans voted at sprint.com/speed on the driver they wanted us to go in-car with. Jimmie Johnson was the top choice. Here's our Evo Cam. We listen in. Get closer to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with unlimited access to highlights, news, and more. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. Johnson, the 5-time defending champ, running in 6th position behind that man, Tony Stewart, who has led all of the laps in this race so far after starting on pole position. Other end of the spectrum, Kyle Busch started at the back of the field after the engine change. NASCAR has a 1 engine per weekend rule to try and control costs, keep teams from having all the lightweight parts and widgets in the engines for qualifying and then swapping out a motor for a race. Well, Kyle has charged all the way from the back of the pack up to 28th position, not without its moments, though.
He's been pretty aggressive in trying to make these passes. You can see there, trying to get on the inside of Casey Mears. A little contact.
Hello, I'm here.
How about the early race report on that 18 car, Mike?
Well, you know, what we just saw kind of flies in contradiction to what was told to us before the race. Kyle said he was just going to let the car come to him, but certainly it looks like he's being aggressive, trying to make his move to the front as quickly as possible. I spoke with his crew chief, Dave Rogers, this afternoon, and he told me since the engine damage was pretty much self-inflicted, they weren't concerned about durability tonight. What they were concerned about, however, track position. Rogers explained these cars are just so equal, it's very difficult to pass. Expect them to do whatever they can to gain track position throughout the course of the night, including a 2-tire change perhaps on their first stop, Alan.
Mike, thanks. By the way, the other driver that started at the back with Kyle, Clint Bowyer, is just running a few positions behind Kyle. Bowyer running right now in 31st. The determining factor on this strategy, Andy, is going to be how far you've gone on a tank of fuel from the last time you made a pit stop.
Well, that's the thing, Alan. There's really not an opportunity to really play a 2-tire strategy unless you're going to take 1 can of gas or so. If you've got to fill it up with fuel, if it's going to take 2 cans, it's going to take the same amount of time to do that as it's going to take to put 4 tires on. So that's one reason you see them changing 4 tires when they make those green flag stops, because they have to fill it up with fuel.
10th and 11th places. Paul Menard, Brickyard 400 winner in the 27. Daytona 500 winner Trevor Bayne in the 21.
Watching the lap times, Trevor Bayne's got a pretty fast car. I looked down a few times and he was the first or second fastest car on the track for a few laps. Shannon?
And Trevor Bayne said the car was fast all weekend. Obviously, that showed in his qualifying effort. Now it is getting tight, especially entry to middle. He also radioed in and said he thinks he may have brushed the wall.
The thing with a young driver like Trevor Bayne is that he has no really experience in these cars at night here, so he didn't know how much to adjust and tell his crew to adjust on this race car. Yeah, he's run the nationwide race, but these things have so much more horsepower, drive quite a bit differently too.
Sorry, you see the picture on the hood of the car, Glenn Wood being inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. That paint job on the car for long-time fans of NASCAR is the same as it was for Glenn's last win as a driver. July 13th, 1963. They went out and had some uniforms made. They found the pattern and the guy who made the original 1963 uniforms and had some done for some of the original members of the Wood Brothers team, and that's the look from 1963.
Yeah, a lot of family members there and people that have been within that organization a long time. Recognized a lot of those faces. The 2 years that I had to work with the Wood Brothers made them basically friends and family of mine for life. So great to see Glenn Wood being honored for all he's done for this sport.
Those are some cool uniforms.
Oh, really look good, don't they?
5th and 6th places, A.J. Allmendinger in the Richard Petty Motorsports 43, and Jimmy Johnson trying to pick his way toward the front in that fast 48.
A.J. Allmendinger having a good run here. We saw him in practice yesterday. His car's really fast. This is one of the racetracks. He likes the banking and the grip that you get here. Look for him to stay up front most of the night trying to get that first victory.
But for now, he's going to go a spot further back.
Well, there's no reason not to get behind the 5-time champ and see what he may be doing that you can use to your advantage at some point in time.
Jimmy Johnson, a little bit closer to the front, up to the number 5 spot. That 48 car started back in 9th position. The Bank of America 500 just underway. Tony Stewart leads early. Looking down on Tony Stewart, putting Dave Blaney a lap down at Charlotte Motor Speedway from our aerial coverage tonight, which is brought to you by Goodyear. Goodyear recently re-signing its exclusive tire supplier deal to NASCAR's National Racing Series. Right. Tony Stewart out in front. Go ahead.
Yeah, Goodyear's done such a great job over the years in working with the drivers and the teams to not only make a safe tire, but one that they can race with on these tracks just like this 1.5 mile race where the speeds are so high.
Tony's going to have company in that lead spot. He's led all the laps so far, but that car, the red, white, and black one, Greg Biffle, closing quickly. Matt Kenseth has dropped back to 3rd. Carl Edwards is running in 4th position. Championship leader starting the night in that 99 car. Check in the 99 pit with Shannon. What are they saying, Shannon?
Carl Edwards holding steady in the top 5, saying that the car is a little bit tight. But guys, he had some radio comments about his motor early in the race.
The engine is acting like it's hitting a chip.
And 4, you got B-box if you need it.
It doesn't do it on the B-box, so does that mean it's the chip?
And 4, that means it's hit the chip, bud.
Well, you heard him say in the chip. They did switch back to the A-box, and the team has assured me that nothing's going on. But for more on this and an explanation of what's going on in that car, let's go to Tim Brewer in the Craftsman Tech Garage.
Thanks, Shannon. What they're referring to as a chip is actually mounted in the ignition box. Now, when Carl flips a switch on the dash, he goes from the A box, which is here, over to the B box. But what we have right here, this is a module that we can insert. And what that does, it restricts the RPMs that the ignition box will let the engine turn. And like we said earlier tonight, as it gets cooler, RPMs are going to go up. But apparently, Jack Roush has got a low gear in that car, and he's already turning a lot of RPMs. But by going to the second box, you eliminate that restriction of RPMs. AB?
Tim, thanks.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a way you got 2 completely separate ignition systems, so you can set one box in one system to let it turn a few more RPMs and another to kind of limit it. So it's just a good way for the teams to manage that.
Now, going to begin to see pit stops not too far off here, so we're going to take a quick break, come back so we're ready for those where a lot of track position can change hands, particularly at a green flag pit stop. Greg Biffle closing on Tony Stewart for the lead, approaching that first trip to the pit lane for service here in the Bank of America 500. Back at Charlotte Motor Speedway as the race for the lead hits pit road. Tony Stewart 14. Greg Biffle had closed up on his back bumper in that 16. Now they'll both pit along with a wave of others for the first time in this race at lap 43. Mike?
And Greg Biffle, they've been telling him throughout this run that he has the fastest car on the racetrack, although he is running second. No adjustments to the race car, just 4 tires and Sunoco race fuel, Doc.
Tony Stewart, 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. So I'm a little bit free from the center exit. 1 round in the left rear. Stewart down and away here on that stop. 13 seconds. Dave.
17 car Matt Kenseth on pit road, 4 tire change. It was tight. He was sliding the right front. Very concerned about that. They'll fill it full of Sunoco fuel. Make an air pressure adjustment. Doc.
29 car Kevin Harvick said car a little bit tight, middle, loose on exit. On pit road. There is Harvick on exit. 88 car. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 4 tires, fuel. Earnhardt coming in. That's the plan. Dale completing the car a little bit better on exit. Needs to turn better center of the turn. Earnhardt getting left side tires, getting completely full of Sunoco fuel. No other adjustments. Light air pressure. There's Jeff Gordon getting his stop. 4 tires for Gordon. Said the car would not turn, but didn't want to get it looser coming on exit. Shannon.
Well, your points leader, Carl Edwards, he's in his box. He says it's just a little bit tight. Wedge, air pressure, and a little bit of tape on the front grille. Brad Keselowski also making his way into his pit box. He says that the car is tight all the way through the center, loose off the exit, so they are going to go to work on that number 2 car. It is a 4-tire change for Brad Keselowski.
The 2 cars that were ahead of Jimmy Johnson already pitted, so he stayed out and led a lap. He gets 1 championship point. Track bar adjustment for a car that was a tick tight into the corners. Alan?
All right, Dave, thanks. Jack got loose from 1 car down there on the pit stops. We'll follow up who that was and see if there's going to be a penalty issued from NASCAR.
Yeah, it looked like it may have come from the 29's pit. That's where they pulled the Jack back towards.
Oh, that was Brian Vickers' car that went by, trailing that piece of equipment.
Everybody missed it. There was a couple of close calls, but nobody hit it.
There it is, right to the screen. So that is called removing equipment from your pit box. And that is a stop-and-go penalty on the pit lane for Brian Vickers in the 83 team. Exchange of stops. Jimmy Johnson led a lap. That's a bonus point toward the championship. Tony Stewart held his lead over Greg Biffle on the pit stops. There are the top 2 about running where they were, relative track position for when they hit the pit lane for the green flag stops. Not familiar with the scoring system? When you lead a lap in a NASCAR Sprint Cup race or you lead the most laps in the race, you get a bonus point toward the championship. Plus, you get a point for each position in the race where you're running at the finish.
So these laps very important for Tony Stewart, leading for a number of reasons: to establish he has the car to beat tonight and to try to get that extra bonus point as he tries to make his way towards winning this championship.
Also, Matt Kenseth and Carl Edwards led a lap. A couple of the other championship contenders, so a bonus point toward the title there. Greg Biffle's going to have this lead in the second in that 16 car.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Car is just extremely fast. I thought maybe the 14 was a little faster on the new tires, but Biffle, when he had the new tires to start the race, was having to negotiate some traffic, and we see now just how fast this car is.
Tony finally gave up. Let him have it.
That's called, okay, go ahead. I give.
Yeah, this isn't the point in time to be fighting over that spot. At the moment, as much as Tony would like to add to his number of laps led, he'll fall in behind Biffle and see if he can hang with him for a while.
With all of those cars on pit road at the same time, it's not easy just to get into and out of your pit box.
No, I'm pretty sure Biffle was exiting as the 29 car, Kevin Harvick, was coming in. Now, we'll see his pit stop here, but he had a lot happening. They made a good stop, though, Andy.
Yeah, you see the brake rotor there glowing red, so Greg got a lot getting down to the pit road speed.
Now the excitement ramps up when he heads out of his stall.
Yeah, and his troop chief's basically telling him clear, clear. You can see Kevin Harvick coming to his pit.
Had to make the move between cars there and keep from banging those fenders and caving anything in on a tire. So Greg Biffle out in front of Tony Stewart now, reversing the track position from before. We're back to the Bank of America 500 after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Wendy next, back in our studios with a look at what's going on across our ESPN networks. On ESPN, Auburn beating Florida 7-3 with about 3 minutes to play in the first half. And on ESPN2, Alabama all over Ole Miss 38-7. Now back to Charlotte with Alan Bestwick. Alan?
All right, Wendy, thanks. And looking at the man who has driven from 5th starting spot up to lead tonight's race 5 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. One of the guys not involved in the NASCAR Championship this year, Greg Biffle. That much of an advantage between he and Tony Stewart, 16 and 14. It's about 2 seconds back to Matt Kenseth, who runs in 3rd.
Yeah, see Jeff Burton right there in front of Greg Biffle. He caught him quite a while back and hasn't been able to put him a lap down. So it looked like Jeff Burton had a pretty decent car in practice yesterday, but has fallen way behind here now, but is able to stay in front and not go that lap down yet.
Well, some of the guys we thought and talked about before the race might get up there and contend for the win beyond Biffle. Kasey Kahne in this 4 started in 8th position, but hasn't made any progress toward the front. Dave, what's happening with this 4 car?
I guess that's a bit of good news, Alan. He really only fell back to 10th, after the start of the race. It only was running about 9th when they came down to pit. He's having a little trouble with the car right now. It was hitting the right front real hard during that first run. It was interesting today when I talked to his crew chief, Kenny Francis, who you see on the right. We were almost done with our interview, and then he had some final thoughts. He just kind of, without asking, said, "I hope we have a good race, but I'm a little nervous. Something crazy can always happen." I guess that's just Kenny, but right now they haven't found the niche that Casey's had here before.
Dave, thanks. Jimmy Johnson got a theme of conversation started last week at Kansas that Carl Edwards picked up and ran with this week here that might apply to this Kasey Kahne situation. Jimmy said, "It's been a crazy year because it's been hard to predict from practice the day before the race how your car is going to be when the race starts and during the race."
Yeah, that has been the theme, and that's why these crew chiefs are really nervous to get these races started because they really don't know what kind of car they're going to have. The one thing I would feel pretty good about if I was Kenny, though, is Kasey Kahne seems to peak late in these races at Charlotte. I think, they're still hanging in there really nice in the top 10, and I expect them to still be a factor.
Yeah, I think one thing, we touched on this a little bit in the practice that we showed yesterday, was that in practice anymore, they go out and run by themselves. They don't run around a lot of cars, and we know how aero-sensitive these cars are. So they're setting their cars up to run as fast as they can in clean air. Obviously, they're not in that very much out here. I think that makes a big difference.
Watching back here for 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Mark Martin in the 5, Jeff Gordon in the 24, Kyle Busch in the 18. Rusty Wallace and Big Brad Daugherty down in our ESPN pit studio. Was kind of curious about how Gordon's night was going to go, Rusty, if we were going to see him move forward or not. He really hasn't gained any ground either.
Yeah, Alan, I'm really surprised. We've been sitting down here at the pit studio, Brad and I, looking at this. We're seeing a lot of cars really not moving forward at all. I really expected Jeff Gordon to get going. He started 23rd. He's only up to 21st. But another car I'm looking at really strong is a 2-car of Brad Keselowski. I'll tell you what, he hasn't won anywhere, guys. He's sitting there hung out at 26 and a little bit here. It looks like he's going to get lapped, Brad.
Yeah, he does. And it's really interesting. We talk about this time and time again. The entire field, Rusty, and guys, if you look at it, from Biffle all the way back to Keselowski's on the lead lap, they're all running basically the identical speed. You look at Jeff Burton, who's a lap down. He just ran a quicker lap than Greg Biffle did, who's out in clean air. All of these cars are running identical speed.
It's amazing how fast they're running right now. The lead car, second lap, was Tony Stewart, run 189.5 miles an hour. At one point, the pace fell off to about 175 miles an hour. But Brad, you're right. The whole field is falling off about the same speed, and it's making for this car, the 2-car, really hard to pass.
Yeah.
But right now, he's struggling with a bad handling car. A lot of guys are struggling trying to find speed right now, Alan.
Yeah, what he needs is a caution. Keselowski does, Rusty and Brad, thanks, to try and keep that leader, Greg Biffle, from overtaking him and putting him a lap down. You see Jeff Burton just in front of the race leader in that 31 car. Down to 26 on the lead lap. at 100 miles of tonight's Bank of America 500.
ESPN's coverage of the Bank of America 500 on ABC. Brought to you by Nationwide Insurance. Nationwide is on your side. And Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving.
Just past the 100-mile mark of tonight's Bank of America 500, race 5 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. A beautiful night for autumn here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Going to get a little chilly by night's end for the folks in the grandstands. For the guys in the race car, they're going to be sweaty from working hard around this very fast mile-and-a-half track, especially when the leader, Greg Biffle, is in traffic like this.
Yeah, you can see those the guys in front of the leader, Jeff Burton and Brad Keselowski, they are sweating it, trying to stay on the lead lap.
There's the gap, first to second, 16 and 14. Tony Stewart running second, started on the pole, led the opening 45 laps of this race. Matt Kenseth shared the front row with Stewart, dropped back in that first run to third position. He is 1.5 seconds behind the race leader. And behind Kenseth is where we begin to go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance. How about we start with the 5-time champion running in 4th place, and Dave Burns.
And a race car that's just a bit free now, Alan, but in a good way. It's very balanced for him and staying loose enough to have a little fun with the crew. Here's his last report.
A little nervous, but man, it turns really good. His nervous was set 4. Don't be nervous, my man. We're all here with you. Thank you. I feel so much better.
Spotter Earl Barbin keeping his driver in the game and letting them know that the whole team is behind him. Shannon?
The race started, there were just 11 points separating the top 4 drivers. You ever wonder how much they think about where those guys are during the race? This is what points leader Carl Edwards had to say on the radio.
Times are looking good, but keep pumping. The 48 is about 7/10 back. He's a bit quicker than us. That's about it.
Same exact line we talked about, right around the line. Left side time.
And you hear that line, he said he is watching where Jimmie Johnson is on the track and watching where he is in the points. Mike?
Shannon, A.J. Allmendinger started 4th, but he's fallen back just a couple of spots, rolling around at 6th right now. He radioed in not too long ago saying he feels like he's losing the track. They're not keeping up with it. Greg Irwin, his crew chief, radioed back saying we're going to go back on the adjustments we made on the previous pit stop. Just behind him, David Reagan. Reagan started 11th and right now is inside the top 10. Caution, though, on the racetrack, Alan.
Yeah, Mike, one of NASCAR's spotters that they have around the racetrack called into the control tower a second ago about some debris that he spotted in turn number 1. So yellow flag is out for the first time in this race and slows the pace of Greg Biffle.
I'd noticed a lot of drivers that had changed their line going down into turn 1 from what they had been doing. I don't know if that's because of what they saw there on the racetrack, but they really had made a concerted effort to miss something down there.
Yeah, beverage can at 190 miles an hour is not something you want to hit. Pit crews getting ready to go to work for the second time. The AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award is determined by the winner of each race, the fastest pit time, and you, the fans, vote. Text the car number to 234567 for your pit crew choice. That Kenseth's crew's a good one.
That'd be a good one to pick right there.
Yeah. Kenseth in that 17, sitting 3rd behind Tony Stewart and Greg Biffle. Now, since the last pit stops, about 30 laps. It's probably outside the window for 2 tires.
Well, for most cars, yes. I think most of them will take 4. That's not saying that somebody won't put 2 on.
I think we'll see a few 2-tire changes. Some people need some track position. Dave?
Matt Kenseth is going to get 4 tires. They're going to make an adjustment for his race car, which needs to turn quite a bit better, according to the driver. They'll get it full of Sunoco fuel. Shannon?
Well, your points leader coming into this race, Carl Edwards. The car started tight. They made some adjustments on that last pit stop a little bit better. They're going to get a little more aggressive. Air pressure and wet. Mike?
Greg Biffle still looking for his first win of 2011. Has a very strong race car here tonight. They're going to make a chassis adjustment on the left side. A 4-tire change on the 16, Doc.
Tony Stewart runs the car. Pole sitter, early leader. 1 round in the right rear. No air pressure. 4 tires. Clean the grill. Stewart down the way. Here comes Biffle. And Stewart will beat him out.
Are going to see a couple of right side tires, DJ.
Yeah, I've got a couple of takers there.
Ryan Newman up 10 spots to be first off the pit lane. Kevin Harvick up 11 spots.
Hey, look back at McMurray, gained 13 to come out 10th.
So a strategy session on the second pit stop of the night, which happens under the first caution of the night, and Ryan Newman is going to be the new leader of this race. Doubling up for the restart. Getting ready to go back racing from the first caution in tonight's Bank of America 500. Yellow flag giving Clint Boyer the Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. He was the first driver one lap down, and by NASCAR rule, he got waved around the pace car and is now back on the lead lap. Boyer in 28th position. Talked about a lot of guys running similar speeds on the racetrack. That can make for a frustrating night for a driver trying to move through the field from a back-of-the-pack starting spot. Oh, say, for example, Kyle Busch.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. You can't do anything out here. Nothing. You try to move around to get something done, and you lose 10 car lengths. That's pitiful.
I said frustrated drivers.
Frustration. Yeah, that's exactly right. And it is difficult because these cars are so equal. A lot of good race teams out here and drivers now.
So looking at the restart order. And remember those first two, Newman and Harvick took just fresh right side tires on the restart. Stewart and Biffle with 4 fresh tires. They come to the green flag restart, which is presented by American Ethanol. Able to break free yet.
Now, Harvick had a little advantage off of 2, but Ryan Newman came flying back down the back straightaway.
Harvick's able to hang right with him and just gets clear. Newman does.
Ooh, I don't know if his spotter said clear, but he took it up there anyway. Ryan Newman did. Got the lead.
It was close.
And Greg Biffle is able to swing around Tony Stewart and get back in front of him. So Biffle in third. Now going to work on Kevin Harvick for second. And if the bottom won't open up, try the top. Look at this. Oh, wow. Man. How about 184 miles an hour that last lap? That's the average speed. That includes slowing down for the corners.
Incredible. Yeah, the grip that they have here and the horsepower these race cars are making, just incredible how fast you can go around here at night.
Denny Hamlin 11, Trevor Bayne 21, 10th and 11th spots. And your lead getting tight. Here comes Tony Stewart for third also. 14 car underneath Kevin Harvick. Matt Kenseth, Jimmy Johnson lined up there to try and keep that 29 to the outside. And up front, no contest.
And I think that might be what we see with 4 tires here tonight, Andy. On these Cup cars having all that horsepower here, I think you're going to be at a disadvantage with 2 tires, especially with that many laps on the left.
And especially with Greg Biffle on 4 tires.
Yeah, I think that may be more of it, huh?
Yeah, he's got a great car tonight.
'17 car, Matt Kenseth. A generally great night for Roush Fenway Racing. All 4 of their entries in this field in the top 10. That 17 car of Kenseth. Watch for him to be sneaky fast around the front tonight.
He was my pick that we do for ESPN each week. He was my pick to win this race tonight, but watched him yesterday in practice. He didn't seem very happy. I didn't see the speed. I was a little concerned about that, but I think he and Jimmy Fennig got together and possibly made some good changes. He's going to be right there. Dave, what are they saying about Matt's car right now?
DJ, you're nice not to call me out after our production meeting today.
I wouldn't do that, buddy.
Talked to Jimmy Fennig this morning, who told me they weren't going to be that great tonight unless they could really work on the car. And as he gets around Newman for that spot, they have made some significant changes. Remember what Matt said when he went through the last round of pit stops. I need to turn quite a bit better, and the adjustments they made have already helped him do that as he's aggressive on this restart.
I tell you, these Fords really look good tonight. Tons of them up front. But you know, it's been since 2002 since the Fords won here. Mark Martin.
Good change tonight.
Yeah, Doug Yates has been working hard, getting some more horsepower for this chase. I think they've got that part figured out. It's just getting the arrow right and getting these cars to turn. If you get them to turn in center where you can utilize that horsepower and throttle, then you can make a lot of time here. Look for Matt Kenseth to be up front even more.
Oh, Carl Edwards, little bobble there. Got those left sides perhaps down off the banking and had to gather it back up there in 1 and 2. Shannon, we heard from the 99 before, talking about his engine a little bit, watching the 48 car. What's the latest there?
Well, you just mentioned those left side tires. That is exactly what his spotter, Jason Hedlewski, just told Carl Edwards. He said your tires, your left side tires, are down on that white line, and that is what he's been watching Jimmie Johnson and all the guys at the front of the pack do all race. That's what they've been working on. It's been tight, and it looks like they're getting there. Doc?
And Kevin Harvick, who watched the nationwide race last night and saw some guys put on 2 right side tires, and it freed them up, and they held her on. Not the case for him tonight. 2 right side tires and an air pressure adjustment. Thought it would free him up. He is absolutely plowing, to quote Kevin Harvick. He restarted second and has now dropped back to 7th and is just hanging on. See the car just plowing up across the racetrack, trying to keep it out of the water, guys.
Tight when the front tires don't want to grip and the car doesn't want to turn into the corner. Loose the opposite when the front end grips and the back end doesn't. It wants to spin out in the corner.
Taking a wider arc, running that high line, it might help it a little bit. But, man, when you got a car that's tight and pushing like he's talking about, there's just nothing you can do to let off the throttle.
So, Mr. Crew Chief, let's talk about the net on the strategy, right? Kevin Harvick was 13th when he came down pit road for the stop. Took just the right side tires, came out second. Where he slides back to before the next caution flag or pit stop will determine the success or failure of that strategy call.
Yeah, and you're watching not only what your car's doing, you're watching what other guys have done with 2 tires. Right now, we got the 39 car Newman. He's running 5th. It doesn't look like it's really paying off that well. I mean, I think it's like we talked about when they pitted. They'd almost run too many laps on the left side to make it work. And I think we'll see this strategy work when they have less laps on the left side.
Yeah, and sometimes you put these 2 tires on, your left sides are already built up air pressure. It's going to make your car tighter. Now you're going to put 4 tires on the next time. How do you adjust it? What are you going to do?
That's the problem. That's the problem.
The Rolling Science Project. It is a NASCAR race car. But Kevin Harvick, second in the championship by only 1 point or 1 position on the racetrack in a race. Starting this one, he won the 600-miler here Memorial Weekend. He's got some work to do to get back to the front. We're back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Where winners are celebrated, champions are crowned, and legends are born. Home of the biggest events in motorsports, ESPN and ABC.
And a big event in motorsports tonight, the Bank of America 500 at the hometown track for the teams of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, all based in and around the Charlotte area for the most part. Most of the drivers live in this area as well. Pretty rare thing in this business when you get to race and then sleep in your own bed later that night.
Yeah, right there's your graphic how we're tracking these guys that took 2 tires. I don't see anybody on that list that's running lower than where they came in, so far it's not too bad. Rusty, what do you think about 2 tires?
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, I was willing to take the gamble and go for it if you needed some track position, but man, it does not look like the 2 tires are working right now. I mean, that's a great graphic you just had. I mean, Newman starting first and Harvick second. Now they're 5th and 10th. I mean, those guys leading these things are running, much faster. So I think late in the race, the gamble wouldn't work. That's just my opinion right now from what I'm seeing.
Yeah, you're a 4-tire guy, though, Rusty.
I am a 4-tire guy, Andy, because you always want to get the best handling car brand, and 4 tires generally gets that to you.
Well, I still do think you're going to have to go 2 tires, Rusty, to some points throughout the race, just simply because, like we talked earlier, it's just so hard to pass. Those guys aren't running too bad. They're not running great. I think if you have a great handling race car and you take 2 tires, you're giving yourself an advantage. It's just so hard to go forward, Rusty. I just don't know how else you're going to do it.
Well, I don't think so either. I mean, right now, these lap times are so close to each other. Granted, we're only 101 laps in this 334-lap race. We're only a third of the way right now.
That's true.
Things are going to change. The track will change. We've talked about it in Countdown, and the guys in the booth talked about it, and they're just going to have to stay up with this change in track conditions. But right now, I'm really not liking what I'm seeing. It's just kind of holding stable.
Better keep up with that 18 car on the night. We just saw Kyle Busch pick up another spot. Remember, he started at the back of this field after they had to make a change in the engine. The bolt stripped out when they were doing some of their tune-up work before the race. Had to change the engine, started at the back of the field. Kyle Busch up to 15th place, Mike. I know we heard him frustrated on the radio earlier, but seemed to have a pretty fast car.
You know, the frustration for Kyle is pretty consistent when he's not leading, so no surprise there. A little frustrated with the aero situation, some of the same stuff he experienced last night in the nationwide race, but as you noted, he has a very strong race car moving toward the front. They made some significant adjustments on the last pit stop. He was a little bit tight center at the time. They made an air pressure adjustment, also a track bar adjustment, trying to help get this car just a little bit better. His frustration, as you heard on the radio, was with the fact that these cars were just way equal, and he wasn't able to make the moves on the racetrack that he wanted to.
Kyle trying to run down Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now to pick up another spot. That is 14th position that Earnhardt Jr. is running in that 88 after starting in 15th place. Side by side, David Ragan in the 6, Ryan Newman in the 39. Ragan going forward, Newman slipping back a little bit.
Yeah, mention again, David Ragan runs extremely well here. Finished second back in the 600. They felt like that they had a shot to win this race tonight. They felt like that the whole group out of Roush Fenway Racing, that they were very strong. The cars were very close, and he felt like he could drive this thing to the front.
A couple of more Fords racing for position there. Trevor Bayne in the 21, 8th place. A.J. Allmendinger in the 43, 9th place. They were a bit closer a minute ago, and Allmendinger had his hands full.
He did, because his 21 was right on his rear bumper. You can see right there, taking a little air away. Nice save by A.J.
Hard to imagine, but off the front nose of those cars comes a bubble of air. It's almost like if you picture a snowplow pushing snow, and I know people in Florida are saying, yeah, okay, but picture a snowplow pushing snow off the front, and that's what that air is like into the back of that lead car.
Yeah, one of the biggest things it does, it changes the airflow over the rear of the front car, and it just takes a ton of downforce for it.
Casey Kane, Denny Hamlin, 12th and 13th. Hamlin started 17th, hasn't made a great deal of forward progress. Greg Biffle, he's made a lot of progress. He's checked out from second place by 2 1/3 seconds. Bank of America 500, Charlotte Motor Speedway, race 5 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. We're past 150 miles, and a couple of positions have just changed hands. You are looking at Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, now running in 16th. Instead of 14th, he was just a second ago.
A moment down in turns 3 and 4.
Courtesy of the front bumper of the 18. Had to get completely out of the throttle coming off the corner, and he lost another spot to Martin Truex down to 1.
Inside, all clear. He's over there, about 4 car lengths back here, all clear.
And remember, there's a couple second delay on that radio from what the driver's actually hearing, so it wasn't the spotter just saying inside when he was already inside him.
No, and what he was talking about, Kyle Busch is driving so much further into the corner. I've watched him with a number of cars that he's caught. He's getting down in there, getting them loose, or either just barely touching them. The spotter doesn't have time to say anything that he's even there.
So that's 29 positions that 18 car has picked up since the start of the race. By far the biggest mover in this field. Scoring serial on Kyle Busch. Forward, forward, and forward. Now, a couple of other guys who have not moved forward at all in this race. Jeff Gordon, Brad Keselowski. Keselowski in the 2 started 26th. He's running 26th. Jeff Gordon in the 24 started 23rd. He's running 27th.
Just hanging out right now.
Not where they want to be.
No. Yeah, I'm really surprised. By the 2 car in particular, he was really fast in practice on Friday and really felt like they had a really good car yesterday in practice. I expected to see them moving forward.
Let's get an update on both of these cars. We'll start with Shannon.
Well, they have been getting very aggressive with their adjustments on this 2-car. Track bar adjustments both time they've come down pit road, including air pressure, just really trying to fix it up, and it is going nowhere. Brad says nothing will make the car turn. He did radio into his crew chief and say, Paul, I am patient. I know you can fix me up. And this is what these 2 guys have. They have great communication, and they have a lot of confidence in each other. Doc?
And we mentioned that Jeff Gordon started 23rd, moved all the way up to 20th, and now he's back in 27th position. As to what's going on with the car, well, listen in.
Hey, Alan, it looks to me like the track is made rubber. And with that happening is it's just losing grip. So when you're in the rubber, it won't turn, or it gets loose, or whatever, it does. So I don't know what to tell you.
Now, the not turning part, he said just a moment ago that the car is really tight on landing. When it lands coming off the corner, it's tight and will not turn. He's also very upbeat and positive with the crew a moment ago. He said, guys, we're really not that bad. Quite honestly, it's just hard to pass out here, but we're going to get there. But we're really not that bad as you look at where we're running right now. Alan?
Doc, thanks. Jeff Gordon had the engine failure in the closing laps of last Sunday's race at Kansas. It dropped him all the way from 19 to 47 points behind the championship lead. That's more than a full race behind the leader as you look at a race for second now. Matt Kenseth, 17, trying to get by Tony Stewart. So Gordon can't afford to have a bad. I mean, he's not out of it the way he started the night tonight. But another finish in the 20s while the guys he's racing for the title finish up front.
Now, he's out of it if this is the way they're going to run. He's got to run better, Alan. You're right. He's got to get up there and lead lap and win some races to get back in it.
He's got to win 3 of these last 6 races, and what we're seeing right now is not going to get that done. He says they're not that bad, but they're not that far from getting lapped here. So they've got a lot of work ahead of them, but it'll take 3 wins, and that may not even do it because he's got so many talented drivers to climb over as we start getting pit stops here.
Well, speaking of running poorly, Jeff Gordon, one of a few cars that have decided to short pit stop earlier than the full fuel run would get them in the car because it's not handling like it needs. Doc?
Exactly. You heard him talk about how the thing would not turn on landing, and it was loose when he was getting in some of that rubber that the track is laying down. How hard it wants to pass, so why not come in and go ahead and make adjustments on it? Get 4 fresh Goodyear, fill up full of Sunoco fuel. All that weight in the back of the car will also impact the handling. Great pit stop. Less than 13 seconds. They burn.
David Rudiman is in right now, guys, and they're already gone. A quick change for them, 4 tires and fuel.
And now that the first guys have made the move to pit road, you're going to see the land rush. Junior's in, Doc.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. on and off pit road, talking about the car being tight in the middle, would not turn. Quick adjustments. Everybody starts coming once they see one leader come in. Everybody else come on to pit road. Kevin Harvick, we told you how the 2-tire right side tire change did not work. The car was plowing, meaning it would not turn at all. This time, it is 4 tires and a major air pressure change. Shannon.
Well, they are going to go to work on this 2-car. Brad Keselowski, the Cinderella story of the season. He is not having a good race. Ford, he's going to make an air pressure adjustment on that 2-car. Dave.
Kasey Kahne is in. The car just a little bit loose. They were talking about working on the right front to get the splitter just a little bit more working out of the car there. 4-tire change for Kahne. 17 of Matt Kenseth is on pit road. He said, I want it to turn a little bit better, but I cannot be any looser. They're going to make a chassis and air pressure adjustment to try to help Matt. Mike.
Greg Biffle extremely happy with his race car. No changes on it whatsoever. Just 4 new tires and a load of Sunoco race fuel for Biffle. Team now completing its work on the left side of that car. Dropping off the jockeys away, Doc.
Tony Stewart, there will be a chassis change on the left rear. Tony said the car starting to get a little bit tight. Sparks from the car. 4 tires, he's down and away.
Carl Edwards in his pit box. They are done with the pit stop. 4-tire change. 2 rounds up on the track bar to try to free him up.
Kyle Busch is the leader, not yet having pitted under this round of stops. Here's David Ragan. Mike.
And David Ragan on pit road. Car just a little bit free. We'll make an air pressure adjustment and a 4-tire change to the 6. AJ Allmendinger in. He'd been complaining throughout the course of this run that his car had been a bit edgy. They'll make a chassis adjustment, also a 4-tire change there. Kyle Busch now on pit road. He has been having some problems with making passes, complaining a little bit about an aero push. He'll roll down pit road, coming to make his stop now. We expect another 4-tire change on the 18 car as he slides into his box now, locks up the brakes. The team going to work on the right side of that race car.
So mostly through the cycle of pit stops, and the man who has had what appears to be the strongest car tonight is about to make a new visit to pit road. Greg Biffle is missing a lug nut on that 16 car. NASCAR rule is you must have all 5 lug nuts installed.
Lug on the left rear, 4,000.
On that car, and apparently the officials spotted when he left. They were missing one on the left rear. So watch the left rear and watch the NASCAR official. Thumbs up. They come around the car. Now watch on the left rear when he leaves.
Yep, he saw it. You know, he didn't give the crew the signal until the car left, which made him have to come back. It's going to cost him a ton of time. The rule is they have to all be on. You know, they obviously can't check the tightness of all of them, but they all have to be visibly on touching the wheel.
So Biffle back to pit road, get that lug nut installed, and we'll see where he is as the scoring cycles out and how far behind he is. The new leader, which is Matt Kenseth. Kenseth getting the jump on Tony Stewart. Remember, he was right behind Stewart trying to take that spot on the pit stops. And his pit crew getting the job done and getting Matt out with what is now the race lead.
Yeah, they just went by Greg Biffle, so he'll be one lap down now.
AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award, Kevin Harvick's crew currently leading. You can help determine the standings. Vote from your AT&T phone, texting the car number to 234567 for the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable. Penalty for Greg Biffle. That puts Kevin Harvick out in front of the Bank of America 500. A lot of time left in this race for Biffle to try and rally back. 200 miles into tonight's Bank of America 500. Matt Kenseth is out in front by 1 1/3 seconds after Greg Biffle had a problem on pit road a moment ago that's trapped him a lap down. New second place car. Jimmy Johnson has just gotten around Tony Stewart to grab the number 2 spot. Where's that dramatic music? Here he comes. And make sure to stay tuned for our NASCAR Nonstop coverage in the second half of tonight's race. NASCAR Nonstop tonight presented by Bank of America. Now, in that picture, there's Greg Biffle right behind Tony Stewart. Biffle is the first car lap down for the moment, pending Matt Kenseth passing anybody else. So he went from leading the race to 27th place with that penalty. It's not a new story for Biffle and this 16 team this year. I was talking to Jack Rouse the other night. He said, we've had 4 times this year where a speeding penalty has caused us a problem when we were in position to have a good run. One of them was the May race here, and then a variety of other little problems. 7 times this season, Greg Biffle has led the most laps in a race, not won any of them. But after it happened, Biffle on his radio to his race team saying, we're still in this.
Hey, just stay with it here, Bob. We'll get this back. We'll get it back. We got plenty fast enough car, plenty good enough time here. We'll get it back.
Matt Pusha, the crew chief, talking with his driver.
Yeah, and that's nice to hear from Greg Biffle. You know, it would have been, you know, a good chance to really jump on his crew for making a mistake there, but Greg knows he's made mistakes this year also, speeding on pit road, doing things like that. So he knows they have a fast race car. If everything falls into place for him, still have a lot of laps to go in this race.
Yeah, I remember specifically one of the penalties for Biffle was on the last pit stop of the race, speeding penalty. That happens, no time to make up for it. Right now, he's got over half this race left to go.
Yeah, no matter how fast a car you have tonight, though, he can't make any more mistakes and still have a shot at winning this thing.
Yeah, that's it. That's your one.
Too many good cars out there.
Remember at Kansas last week, Jimmy Johnson dominating the race and led the championship standings for a lot of the night until Carl Edwards made that late rally and literally in the final couple of laps, and Johnson wound up 4 points behind Edwards at the end of the Kansas race. Well, at 1 point per position, where they run on the racetrack now, Johnson in position again for a second straight week to possibly take the championship lead.
But, you know, just the way that thing ended last week is why we can't really pay attention to that one.
That's right.
Because it changes so fast.
He's going to have a lead in this thing in a minute.
Yeah, he could have that, but I think Matt Kenseth is showing everyone, you know, he made some comments this week that maybe he didn't feel like that he was getting the respect that he deserves here in this championship battle, that he's right there in the mix for this thing, and I don't know if he's wrong about that part, that maybe we aren't giving him his due there, but I do believe he will have something to say about it before all of this is over.
While we watch Johnson stalking Matt Kenseth away from the lead a minute ago, watch this right in front of Kenseth. That's Hermie Sadler in the 71 and Bobby Labonte in the 47.
that's why the 48 was able to close up quite a bit. Matt getting out of the throttle and making sure everything was okay in front of him first.
So Johnson stalking the leader, Matt Kenseth. Still shy of halfway in the Bank of America 500. Back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Caution is just waved here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Debris turns 3 and 4. And the field slows from its 180-mile-an-hour pace down to the pace car speed of 55 miles an hour. Matt Kenseth gathered up by that pace car, and you see fourth in line there. And the first car a lap down, Greg Biffle in the 16. The Aaron's Lucky Dog free pass. He'll be waved around the pace car and be back on the lead lap. The bad break from the last pit stop, followed by a good break with the timing of this caution.
I'm sure he'll put good use to that break that he's gotten there. Fast race car. It'd be fun watching him come up through the pack.
So I was just thinking, between Kyle Busch and now Greg Biffle, we'll be seeing some guys pass some cars. Kyle all the way up to 7th at this caution flag. And pit road open. Only 20 or so laps since they pitted. We'll see if there's some strategy here, Dave.
Leader Matt Kenseth says his car is still a little bit tight across the middle, but he has better rear grip. They're going to put the second set over the wall, so it looks like Matt Kenseth will take 4. The 48 of Jimmie Johnson. They are going to work on the car just a little bit. Left rear wedge will be the adjustment. 4 tires full of Sunoco fuel. Mike?
At the beginning of the run, David Reagan saying the car was just a little bit free, but towards the end of it, he said the car was coming to him. They'll make a 2-tire change on the 6, Doc.
Tony Stewart says the car is tight on landing, worse in turns 1 and 2. 2 right side tires. Stewart down and away and beats everyone off of pit road. Guys,
oh, look at that mayhem there with Denny Hamlin sliding out of his pit box.
Crowded there. A lot of 2 tires. Put a lot of good cars back in the pack.
Yeah,
Jimmie Johnson way back coming off pit road.
Matt Kenseth too. So Tony Stewart's team going to try the strategy for that clean air on the nose of that 14 car. Watch this. Big charge to the scoring line at the end of the pit lane. Hello.
The NHRA season is rapidly drawing to a close. In NASCAR, it's the chase for the Cup. NHRA has the countdown to the championship, where a single mistake can make or break someone's title hopes. Qualifying tonight. Finals Sunday at 7 on ESPN2.
Look forward to seeing that on Sunday night, as we look forward to seeing the finish of this one tonight here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, all lit up for night racing. Put the lights in here. 1992, this race in the championship became a night race back in a few years ago, 2003. Jeff Gordon, extra time on pit road, Doc.
Yeah, 3rd time he's been in under the yellow this time, Alan. 1st time right side tires, 2nd time left side tires. And this time they came in and put a rubber spacer in the right rear spring to try to help the car with the problem he's been having with tight in the middle and then tight on landing, so they can get the car to turn better for Jeff under throttle. So 3 pit stops under 1 yellow flag, guys.
Taking a swing at it. Gordon and Brad Keselowski about to be put a lap down in that last run. The caution kind of saved him and gave him a chance. So Tony Stewart first off the pit lane. We saw a whole pile of teams go for just right side tires, and when that happens, the pit road can get a little congested.
A little bit tight at times.
Oh, look out. Watch that 11 car swing out of his pit stall.
Whoa, baby. Man, that's pretty crowded down there.
Yeah.
Only so much room to get out.
Here's Kevin Harvick's view of it.
Show, stay in the middle, stay. All the way up, all the way up.
What are you supposed to make out of that?
Too many people talking at once.
That's when the crew says, I told you.
Yeah. So first guy who changed 4 tires, the guy who led coming down the pit lane, Matt Kenseth, is all the way back in 11th spot for this restart. Jimmie Johnson's going to be back in 15th position. And all those those guys in front of them just took the fresh right side tires.
The two tires earlier they weren't as fast, but we had some fast cars. Those cars that took two weren't as fast as the cars that passed them to begin with on 4 tires.
Well, there's a few things in play on this restart. You've got a lot of cars, a lot of good cars on 2 tires up front. They don't have near as many laps. They only have 20 laps or so on the left sides. And, like I said, the fast cars with 4 tires are way back. So it's going to be interesting to see. This could be a turning point in the race for a lot of teams.
18, Kyle Busch started last. Worked his way up to 7th before the caution. The strategy puts him alongside Tony Stewart on the front row. Here we go.
Side draft in there from Smoke.
Playing a few games there. Kyle went back on his left rear there. Holding that clean air.
Hang on. This could get ugly. Stewart holds on.
I remember back to Chicago when Tony Stewart said he was going to be more aggressive on restarts because everybody around him was, so he was going to change his driving style.
If you get out in front of that 18 on the restart, you've been pretty aggressive, I'll assure you.
That's an accomplishment.
Check this move out. Look at this.
Danny Hamlin in that 11 car. Dicey there. That's 7th, 8th, and 9th. Truex in the 56 and Hamlin in the 11 for 8th and 9th.
Yeah, Mark Martin back. He's coming to pit road. I saw him earlier. He may have a tire problem. He really stacked everybody up at the back of the pack.
Debris in turn 3 and 4, maybe from that 5 car.
We got a hub issue. The left front hub is done. Go to the garage. Go to the garage. Left front.
Lance McGrew, the crew chief, with the quick diagnosis there.
He's talking about the left front hub. That's unusual, ain't it?
Well, it is unusual, Dale, but I've got some information on that. I've talked to some crew chiefs down there about how these cars have really loaded up these front bearings and hubs, and that they even put air on them just to cool these bearings. So they're one of those parts that are pretty highly stressed.
Yeah, Greg Biffle right in the middle of this. I thought we were going to have a big crash when I first saw it.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, man. Well, they did have a crash.
Bobby Labonte, 47. David Gilliland, 34. Landon Castle, 51. They crashed. They just didn't hit anything too hard.
Hit each other.
Inside.
Well, that's unfortunate. I talked to Mark Martin this afternoon. He was really excited about his race car. Said that he was able to drive this car further in the corner than any Sprint Cup car that he's ever driven here before. He thought he could really make some ground today.
So the Hendrick team put that car up on jack stands and go to work on that left front suspension. Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech garage can show us what they'll be working on to fix that left front hub. Tim?
Tell you what, AB, there's a tremendous amount of load on the left front, just like Andy was talking about. You can blow all the air you want to, but the bearing load is right here in this area, our cutaway hub. This is the inner race and the inner bearing right here. You have very little trouble with that. But this particular hub right there, that's a small version. A lot of the teams have gone to bigger bearings in here because the load is so great on this left front. AB?
All right, Tim, thanks.
Yeah, well, Steve Letarte that I talked to last week actually about it, I saw they had some air hoses going over to the front hubs and front brakes, and he said they're mainly cooling that hub because those bearings do get so much stress. But you don't normally see them in the garage area having to change them.
Not the walk any crew chief like Lance McGrew wants to make during the race. From your pit box back to the garage to have that car worked on. And that is certainly not where any driver wants to be sitting.
No, it's very frustrating, and you know that they're going to get it fixed here. You're going to be a lot of laps down, but you have to go back out and make laps, and no fun whatsoever as a competitor.
So Mark Martin behind the wall. Joining Robbie Gordon, Michael McDowell, Travis Kvapil, David Stremme, Andy Lally, and Joe Nemechek, who all dropped out of the race in its opening laps. Just a couple of lead lap cars pitted under this caution flag. Jamie McMurray, Jeff Gordon, Greg Biffle among them. Reminder, heard from Paul Page a little bit ago about that NHRA Arizona Fall Nationals qualifying late night tonight, and the finals Sunday night. Both those on ESPN2. The season finale for the Eyes on IndyCar World Championship. That is in Las Vegas. ABC, Sunday, 3 Eastern Time, presented by Sunoco. Our NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable, 2:30 Eastern Time Monday. We'll discuss all the issues and events of the racing weekend at NASCAR. And then next weekend, Talladega. Here we go. ESPN, 1 Eastern Time, 1 week from tomorrow. Well, Doc, Tony Stewart's going to try and hold off Kyle Busch on another restart.
Well, Darian Grubb, you guys made a gutsy call. You talked about 2 tires this morning, and you did it. You said that clean air was so critical.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm glad we did it since the top 10 cars behind us, they all did the same thing, gave us a little cushion to those guys that have took 4. So Tony's doing a great job on Mobil 1 Office Depot Chevy, and hopefully he can keep it up there.
All right, the Darian Grubb is making the call, and they said if we can get 2 tires and we're in the top 4 coming out, we're good. If we're 5th on back with 2 tires, we're dead in the water. We're just going to fall backwards. So they made it work, guys.
Doc, thanks. But as hard as Tony Stewart had to race to fight off Kyle Busch on that last restart, gets to load up and do it again.
Well, he wasn't the only one. They was racing all the way back through the field. I mean, 3, 4 wide.
And this is when you kind of hold your breath.
Yes.
First few laps on a restart like this at this racetrack, and you're waiting for that one slip in the crash that sweeps up 5 or 6 cars. Goes 3 wide to the inside.
I don't know if Kyle Busch was trying to anticipate what Tony Stewart was going to do, or if Tony Stewart played a little game with him, but Tony, you could see Kyle try to kind of make a little lunge, and then that's when Tony took off, was after he backed out of the throttle. So I might not be too happy with that restart.
Just like on Saturday night short tracks, all that these guys grew up on, right? Playing games. Who can get the jump on who? Matt Kenseth, look at this 17 car.
I've been watching him. He took up to the outside going into turn 1 on that restart, and he is making some ground up there. Now he's going to the bottom on Denny Hamlin.
Remember, Kenseth took 4 tires on the pit stop a little while ago. He's back behind a lot of these guys he was ahead of when those guys all took just rights.
Yeah, let's watch this restart here. You can see the inside line, Kyle, by backing off there. Look, Ryan Newman, left side's off in the grass there. That's a pretty bold move, but you got to get what you can on these restarts. They know how close the competition is.
Newman, Denny Hamlin, 39 and 11, 6th and 7th spots. And here comes that 17 car. Matt Kenseth, former winner at this racetrack, got his first NASCAR Sprint Cup win here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Former champion in this series. Trying to win another one. Double 8 and double 2. Earnhardt Jr., Kurt Busch, 13th and 14th. Logano in the orange car, Menard in the 27, stacked up behind him.
Boy, it's so difficult to drive these cars down on the inside, especially as you enter these corners where the air is getting taken off of your spoiler by that car beside you. You have to be really careful, but you want trying to make that pass. Want to carry the speed, but you have to be careful.
And there's Jimmy Johnson back there in the 48. Remember, he got trapped back there by the big strategy shuffle.
Yeah, that kind of makes you, Chris, you want to kick yourself when you see how many cars took 2 tires. You know, you think 4 tires is the right call, and it is for the car, but you don't know that all these other ones are going to take 2, and it's really got him in a pretty bad spot right now.
All right, so Johnson there trying to pick up the 17th position. Kurt Busch, haven't spoken a lot about him tonight. 13th position for the moment, Mike.
Yeah, it's been a struggle all weekend. They were thrashing, trying to find the right balance during practice. Right now, though, the frustration for Kurt Busch stems from what's under the hood.
Love how we're on razor blade edge. And the next time we want to cut back on engine power, it would be important parts instead of us having to deal with it. What we learned during the chase, these things won't drive anywhere. It's like I'm towing a trailer and out of the racetrack. Yeah, go ahead. Cross your fingers and rub your lucky charms. That's about it right here.
And as it sounded, there may be some tension there between crew chief and driver, which led some credence to a story that was reported earlier this week about Steve Addington potentially leaving this team at season's end. I spoke with Steve Addington this morning about that very situation. He neither confirmed nor denied it, but he did say he held a team meeting this week to make sure his team understood this will not be a distraction for them. Their focus remains on winning this championship. Addington, though, like I said, did not confirm or deny the story.
Talked about in a lot of areas of sports. Thanks, Mike. Free agent periods and the guy performing in his free agent year, or guys being distracted by contract negotiations. Kurt Busch under contract to this team. Steve Addington up at the end of this season. Will or won't be back. That obviously is up for discussion. They're trying to win a championship. Can they do it through that?
Well, I don't think so. I think it would be too hard for that team to be able to do what they've got to do in every race to get up there. Now, this is their high water mark of the night so far. I mean, they've got their car up in 13th spot, and that's not bad. And they're making some progress. I think Steve Addington's doing a great job under difficult circumstances.
I'm focused more on what Kurt Busch said right there. Are they dialing some power back to ensure longevity in these engines? I think one thing that made Kurt Busch and Brad Keselowski so strong was the power they had under the hood. That's why we could see them on these mile-and-a-half tracks, leading laps, winning races. If they're dialing that back, they're making a big mistake.
Kurt Busch in 13th position at the moment. We are halfway through tonight's Bank of America 500. Tony Stewart is the race leader, and it is time to go NASCAR nonstop tonight, presented by Bank of America.
I love this card. With the Bank America Cash Rewards credit card,
we earn more cash back for the things we buy most.
That's 1% cash back everywhere, every time.
2% on groceries.
3% on gas, automatically. No hoops to jump through.
That's 1% cash back on Oscar.
Tony.
Oscar.
2% back on whatever she'll eat. 3% back on filling up this baby.
Now get 1, 2, 3% cash back.
It's that simple.
Apply online or at a Bank of America near you.
We're talking 3% back on gas.
With DirecTV, you can start watching in one room, pause, and continue watching in any other room. Experience it yourself. Get your whole home connected for free. Don't just watch TV. DirecTV.
Game day. It's all about being prepared. So when you set out your game day spread, be ready. With Bush's Baked Beans as part of your lineup. The perfect complement to juicy burgers and sizzling brats. Next game day, serve the guaranteed crowd pleaser. Bush's Baked Beans. Are you ready?
People don't make a list of websites they want to see before they die. They don't fill photo albums with pictures from an online search. It's okay. The internet will be just fine without you. That's why we built the Dodge Journey. It has everything you need to get out there. Somewhere. Anywhere. Think of it as a search engine for the worldwide world.
Over 19 million fell madly in love with Last Man Standing.
Let's party.
And who doesn't absolutely love Tim Allen?
I'm living with Lord Voldemort!
Well, okay, not everybody. But ABC Tuesday, you can see for yourself. Last Man Standing is a hit that really delivers.
Let's have a baby.
What?
Women my age are having babies all the time.
Where? Tim Allen is Last Man Standing. All new Tuesday at 8/7 Central on ABC.
And the race for the lead. In the Bank of America 500, Tony Stewart, 0.8 of a second ahead of Kyle Busch. Stewart started first, is running first. Kyle started last, is running second. Not as simple as that sounds.
No.
Tony has led the most laps tonight. Greg Biffle had the strongest car. Got a pit road speeding penalty, a little bit of, not a speeding penalty, I beg your pardon. Had a lug nut missing on a pit stop. Had to come back in and have that lug nut reinstalled. It dropped him off the lead lap, got a free pass, got back on the lead lap. Strategy on the last caution. Matt Kenseth was leading. Jimmy Johnson was not far from him. They got 4 tires on their pit stop. Stewart, Kyle Busch, and a pile of others just changed right side tires. It exchanged track position and their fortunes in this middle stage of tonight's race. Very clean race, by the way. All of the cautions so far, 3 of them for debris that have come off various cars. And the only major story mechanically is Mark Martin back in the garage area after the left front hub on that 5 car broke just a little while ago.
Jimmy Johnson's not able to drive up through the pack on those 4 tires they've got, but Greg Biffle's not having much trouble.
Not having much trouble at all.
He restarted 25th at lap 159. You see barely 20 laps later, he's up to 16th.
We'll see. They get a little tougher to pass when you get towards the front, but we'll see how that goes.
They do, but I think Greg Biffle has the car to do it tonight. He seems to be able to make speed. If he needs to go to the middle, to the top portion of the racetrack, able to do that to get around some cars.
It's been quite the season for Greg Biffle. Back in March, Biffle and his 2 pilots involved in an aviation accident in Kentucky when a mechanical failure caused the airplane to kind of skid to a stop on landing. That was in Lexington. All uninjured. Great thing there. A month later, signed a contract extension with Roush Fenway Racing. He and wife Nicole had a baby this season. And through all of that, Greg has been fast, but just not been able to take home a trophy from one of these tough-to-win Sprint Cup Series races.
But they are hard to win. We talk about all the time how you can't make any mistakes these days and really come back because there are so many competitive cars and teams and drivers out there. Just like tonight, we've got 27 cars still running on the lead lap.
This battle for 8. You see Trevor Bayne. He's got a great car tonight. They had 1 bad pit stop. Actually, I think it was under green that they lost quite a bit of spots. But other than that, this car's really been fast tonight.
And the man he's racing for position, Denny Hamlin. Interesting comments from Denny in his press conference here at the racetrack this weekend. Talked about Joe Gibbs Racing beginning to make changes to get back competitive again. Hamlin saying that he felt like they were slow to react to some things that they needed to do, and they fell behind, and now he saw those changes. He felt like the organization was on board with a direction that he felt would bring them back closer to the front in the coming weeks so that they could end 2011 on a strong note to launch into next season.
Yeah, I heard him make comment, too. It was about how the drivers needed to be on board for the changes that they needed to make. Which makes me think it's got to have a lot to do with the way the cars handle and the way they drive.
Yeah, things that he sees with other cars and drivers able to do with their cars, they're not able to do that. I think that they have some work to do under the hood and on the bodies of these race cars. Doc, what do you know about this?
DJ, you're exactly right. I talked to Mike Ford, the crew chief, about what he and Denny had talked about. And the best part is that these guys have remained very positive the last 3 or 4 weeks. They're going to try to do the best they can. He said, we're not doing anything differently now than we have done last year when we came here. We were second in the point standing. When you see Joe Gibbs there on the box, Joe Gibbs is not going to let this happen much longer. Both the driver and crew chief believe their equipment, the car, the engine, everything needs to improve. They are not nearly where they need to be competitive in this chase. And although they're out here digging right now and trying to get a top 10 or maybe a top 5 finish, they don't believe they're nearly where they were a year ago, which is frustrating for everybody in the organization.
1 win so far this season for Denny Hamlin, and nowhere near where he was a year ago. Hamlin contending for the championship last year. This year he finds himself a distant 12th. Best finish in the chase, 16th. Didn't see that one coming. Tony Stewart leading. 151 laps to go in the Bank of America 500. We're back to Charlotte after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
A tough thing to do. Because lights expose cracks, expose weakness.
Unbelievable. You can't do anything out here. Nothing.
With 6 races left, it's time to make a move.
Don't be nervous, my man. We're all here with you.
And to do it under the lights, in prime time, well, that's more than a win. That's a declaration.
Who's going to make the declaration tonight in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup? And the only night race in the chase, tonight's Bank of America 500 Charlotte Motor Speedway. Right now, Tony Stewart is declaring that a two-tire strategy to get clean air at the front of this pack down on the nose of that car is worth a lot. Tony, not able to hold the lead earlier. The strategy getting him out front. He was able to get away from Kyle Busch on 2 restarts and move away from second place, approaching another set of pit stops. Tony's first 4 races in this championship, interesting, right? The 2 wins, Chicago, New Hampshire, the terrible race at Dover. He ran second last Sunday at Kansas to Jimmie Johnson all race long. A strategy call late that got him a little back in traffic. Then he slid through the pits on a final stop. A driver mistake that got him way back in traffic. And now Tony Stewart trying to regain some momentum toward that cup.
They're doing a good job. They got a fast car tonight, and they've also made great decisions at the right time. You can see Jimmie Johnson, he's back in 16th. He's not moved 1 spot forward since the restart with those 4 tires. So that decision that they made really was a turn. I talked about a turning point in the race. It was the negative turning point for the 48 team.
Won't be long before we see this 14 car on pit road again, will it, Doc?
No, Alan, probably about 10 or 12 laps around lap 200. You know, you talked about Tony Stewart and the mistake he made last week. Tony was frustrated about how poorly they ran at Dover and then embarrassed with what he did there at the end of the race last week and said nothing but winning counts from here on out. We're going to make a statement tonight. Mike.
The 22 down pit road right now. They've been a little bit tight on entry, loose on exit. They've been contemplating what they should do to this car. They were thinking about putting a spring rubber in. They've decided not to do that. Instead, just a 4-tire change and air pressure adjustment on Kurt Busch's machine.
And it's happening again. Soon as the first move to pit road is made, here comes the charge. Dave?
Jimmie Johnson had been squandering wallowing around in the 15th position. He's going to get a chassis adjustment for a car that, as he goes to the center of the corner, will not turn. Shannon.
And right now on pit road, as you see the 48 of Jimmie Johnson on the left-hand side, pit stops underway. Jeff Burton on pit road as well. He has been struggling with the handling of this car. He says he needs more grip overall. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment.
88 on and off pit road. Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying the car is getting better than it was. Turning better, still a little bit free on exit. And the 29 car, Kevin Harvick, remember that 2-side, right-side tire change helped the race car. He said the car had been very free. It helped tighten it up a little bit. Now it's a 4-tire change for Harvick. Their idea, they got to come out of here with a top 10 finish and then go to their bread and butter track. Shannon.
Carl Edwards in this 99 team, they've been working on this car all night. He's still a tick tight. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment for Carl. They're also going to take 4 tires. Remember, he took 2 on that last pit stop.
Greg Biffle down pit road now. They go to work on that car. Biffle's been pretty happy trying to rally back from an earlier pit stop problem where they missed a lug nut. They'll do a 4-tire change in the 16. Otherwise, Biffle very happy with his race car. Kyle Busch on pit road. They go to work there. They did a 2-tire change last time down pit road. Expect a 4-tire change this time. They complete their service on the right side of that car. Swing around to the left side, finishing up there, Doc.
11 car, Denny Hamlin is going to put the wedge back in it, make a track bar adjustment. There's the 11 car of Denny Hamlin. He said they think they're on the splitter. Oh, trouble left side, a little bit of miscommunication. A couple guys running together. Left side tires going on. Clock ticking away. Still not a bad pit stop. Just over 13 seconds. And now here is the leader, Tony Stewart on pit road. Right side tires last time. Got to be flawless. Got to get it full of fuel. Right front, right rear going on. Coming around. Everything working flawlessly here right now. Left side tires. Gas can up. 12 seconds, 13-7. A little slower than some of the others in the top 5.
Here comes Kyle Busch, start-finish line. Tony Stewart just coming up off the pit lane. There's going to be a change of lead on that set of pit stops.
Yeah, he was 1.4 seconds behind whenever Kyle Busch came to pit road.
I don't know how Kyle does it and where he makes that time up, but he does it every green flag stop.
And that's how you go from last to first. Cycle of pit stops not yet complete. J.J. Yaley in the 38 car, the only car that has not come to pit road yet. The 38, one of the cars that came in at lap 156. Remember, we had the handful of cars in under the debris caution when Mark Martin went to the garage. So he's got a couple more laps he can run before he needs to hit the pit lane.
And all these drivers know that. They're trying to get by there in case the caution would come out. They could be on the lead lap without having to take a wave around.
Before he finishes the cycle of pit stops, and we'll see Kyle Busch in front of Tony Stewart by nearly 2 seconds.
See, the pit crew definitely doing their job. That's 1 second of it.
He pitted 1 lap before Tony, so maybe 1 lap on fresh tires, maybe.
Yeah, you could get a little bit there for sure, but as Andy was talking about, Kyle does it time and time again. So it's a lot of his ability to get on and off of pit road a little bit quicker than most everyone else.
Behind Stewart, Carl Edwards will move up to eventually 3rd on the exchange of stops, then Matt Kenseth and David Reagan. And J.J. Yaley hits pit road, so there is your new leader, Kyle Busch. On the exchange of green flag pit stops, goes from 1 4/10 seconds behind to 2 1/10 seconds ahead. Time to go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Bank of America.
People think because I spend all my weekends at the racetrack, my life is predictable. Actually, things are constantly changing. And whether I need to protect my ATV, my truck, a new home, cover my home away from home, having life insurance, or a growing business, with Nationwide Insurance, I can bundle them together and save. You can too, up to 25%. So call Nationwide Insurance today to bundle and save.
Nationwide is on your side. Call 866-500-5555.
Hey, that's a good idea. What? Cracking it like that could be huge. Think someone will steal it?
The Winklevoss twins?
Who'd do that?
Do it cautiously. Wonderful pistachios. Get cracking.
If I were cheese, I wouldn't want to let go of myself either. Come try the cheese-inspired dishes on our 2468 value menu. Only at Denny's.
Small space, meet big power. The Craftsman Compact Right Angle Impact Driver. Over 3,000 impacts per minute for powerful torque on the toughest projects in the tightest spaces. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
Your car is everything. Your taxi, your moving van, your baby. And for over 30 years, AutoZone has had the parts you can count on to keep it going. But parts are just part of what we do. We're part buddy, part mentor, part of the American way of doing things. So whether you're Mr. DIY or a master mechanic, AutoZone has your back. Parts are just part of what we do.
Get in the zone.
AutoZone.
Wow, what's that? Oh, it's the new AT&T smartphone. Nice. I wish I could afford one. Yeah, I got a good deal. Look at that screen. Fast, too, right? Oh, yeah. Last week, FITD. It streams movies. Real web browsing. Turn left now. Look at this camera. Hold on. Let's get a photo. I'm listening to downloaded music. Oh, I can afford that.
See ya. The AT&T Impulse 4G. For $29.99, there's no excuse not to get your own. AT&T.
Crystal, who are you wearing?
Fabulous bag. What's in it?
Crystal does it for her fans. Wonderful pistachios. Get cracking.
Hey fans, customize my gear.
My gear.
My gear.
My gear.
Only at the NASCAR.com Superstore.
He started last. He's running first, just past 300 miles in tonight's Bank of America 500-miler, Charlotte Motor Speedway. Kyle Busch looking to make a statement in his bid for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Let's take an inside look at what's happening in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint. Driver to start the furthest back and win a race at this racetrack is Jimmie Johnson. Started 37th in May 2003, riding on board with Johnson. Top screen, of course, Kyle Busch tonight. Last to first, that means he's picked up 42 positions in this race. Pretty impressive. Get closer to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with unlimited access to highlights, news, and more. Learn more at sprint.com/speed.
That'd be a hard record to break, won't it? He goes on.
Yeah.
Unless they add to the field.
So, 18 team started last, running first, and I would imagine they're pretty pleased in their pit. Mike?
I think that's a pretty good estimation, Alan. Catching up with his crew chief, Dave Rogers, now. You started at the back of the field, but what a charge to the front. How have you done it?
Well, so far, the 7M of Camry's been real fast. Our pit crew's been phenomenal, and you can't say enough about Kyle Busch. He's been real patient. You know, starting in the back, track position race, it'd be real easy for him to get excited and tear the thing up, and he didn't. He took care of it, drove it all the way to the front, but got lots of racing left, so we'll see if we can hang on.
Alan, they came into this race knowing they had to make the most of it. 20 points out of the lead. Rogers told me this afternoon, he said, our chase could go in either direction from what we do here in Charlotte.
So far in this championship, Kyle Busch has had finishes of 22nd, 11th, 6th, and 11th. And for a guy who had the most wins, along with Kevin Harvick, starting the championship 4 apiece through the course of the season, these weren't the kind of numbers we were expecting. So Kyle got his way to the front in part by a strategy call, a 2-tire call made by crew chief Dave Rogers. Jimmie Johnson was up at the front. When that last round of caution flag pit stops, they went for the 4-tire change, and it kicked him back into the pack, and he just hasn't made any progress to the front. Dave?
After the last round of green flag pit stops, he's picked up 1 spot on the track. Now, before that, he had an interesting radio transmission. Listen.
But we can't run too long with those fronts closed, Tim. And it's the only way I can keep up. Yeah, well, we end up falling behind the wall, we're going to be even worse position. So, okay. And when I lose spots, Tony, mechanically, we cannot do that. So just calm down. Now we got the adjuster all the way to the rear.
All right, that's an adjustment I'm not too familiar with. Andy, DJ, you know what's going on there?
Well, I don't know exactly what it is, Dave, but we saw the 5-car have a problem with the front hubs. I'm just wondering if it has something to do with putting air on the front suspension, and now Ted Knaus knows about the 5-car's problem. Maybe he's pretty sensitive to it, wants to make sure that they don't have it.
A couple of teammates exchanging third place. Matt Kenseth by Carl Edwards. Saw the wave there. Carl with the white gloves, giving Matt a wave, saying, yep, I'll let you go.
Yeah, both of these cars yesterday, I don't think if you talk to either one of them, they thought during practice that their cars would be capable of running in the top 5, and they've both been very solid throughout this race so far.
Roush Fenway Ford's running 3rd, 4th, and 5th at the moment. And by the way, Greg Biffle has worked his way back into the top 10.
Yeah, sure has. He's on a mission to get back up there and show that he has the best car here tonight. But, back to talking about those cars yesterday, not very good in practice. Some guys that we heard talk about their cars being great yesterday in practice, they're not running very well tonight. So it just shows you the big difference.
The surprise factor we talked about that Jimmie Johnson and Carl Edwards were discussing earlier. Greg Biffle just joining us on a green flag pit stop earlier after running up from 5th starting spot and leading a lot of laps early in this race. Left pit road at lap 126 without one of the lug nuts on his left rear. Had to come back in, have that reinstalled, went from leading to 28th place a lap down. Caution flag at lap 146 got Biffle the free pass, the lucky dog. He got back onto the lead lap and has been slowly chipping his way forward through this pack ever since, on a night when it's shown to be a little hard to pass, even when you have a faster car. So Mark Martin is back on the racetrack in the 5-car after the problem earlier. 37th place, 46 laps down. Shannon, what did they tell you?
Well, the team is telling me that there was definitely some overheating involved. It was bright red, as you guys saw. They said when Mark took off on that restart, he said something broke. And that is what they told me it was, a broken part. But they did have to replace everything that was attached to that left front wheel. So that's what they did while they were in the garage. Certainly something they're watching.
All right, Shannon, thanks. Rusty, you have your head up under the hood of these race cars a lot. What are you thinking there?
Yeah, I try to occasionally. There's no doubt about that. But I've been listening to all this conversation about heat in the front end of the cars, the brakes, all this type of stuff. And listening really close to what Jimmie Johnson got to say, it sounds like he's messing around with his brake balance, putting a lot of brake balance to the front of the car, maybe help correct a loose condition. I would think that's probably what it is. But then Chad's saying, hey, you can't do that, man. It's going to get mechanically going to hurt us. Mechanically, what he's talking about, it's going to overheat the front of the car. It could have a problem with the brake problem. It could have a problem with a hub, something like that. But I'm positive that it's the brake proportion front to rear, guys.
What do you think there, driver crew chief?
Well, there's a lot of things that they have in place here now, and certainly I think that the problem that the 5 car had, I'm more inclined to believe, like Andy was talking about earlier, that they're concerned that with things that they're doing, that they may damage the entire suspension there. So there's so many things that they try to cool and have to do now.
Yeah, I also agree with Rusty. I think that one of the things he's struggling with is his car's tight.
Yeah.
The way to fix that, if you're using the brakes in, is to put some of that brake to the rear. And I think that's what he's talking about. Okay, if I can't do what I want to do, I'll put more rear brake in it and see if we can make the car do what I want to do and not overheat the fronts.
Well, Johnson trying to take a spot away from A.J. Allmendinger there. You saw him pass Kevin Harvick a couple of laps ago during this conversation. Now he's running 13th and trying to take 12th away from the Dinger. Coming up on 350 miles in the Bank of America 500. Kyle Busch is the leader. We go NASCAR nonstop, presented by Bank of America.
Talk out there about who makes the most dependable truck. Well, talk is cheap. Here's a fact for you. The Toyota Tundra received J.D. Power and Associates' most dependable large pickup 6 years in a row. Now that's a statement no other truck can make. The full-size Tundra from Toyota.
With 50 horsepower, dual overhead cams, and fierce acceleration, the Gator XUV 825i will shatter your expectations. And so no one gets left behind. Check out the all-new versatile XUV 550s, our most affordable 4x4s ever.
The first generation of 3D TV. It had to get better. Introducing Vizio's Theater 3D. Leave behind the expensive battery-powered glasses, the screen flicker, the darkened picture. Just put on the same glasses you use in the theater and enjoy. The next generation of 3D TV from Vizio. Entertainment freedom for all.
As a fan of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, I want to get as close to the action as I can get. One way to do that is to use the NASCAR Sprint Cup mobile app for my HTC Evo 4G. Another way is to hide in the back of Carl Edwards' car. Yeah, Carl! Whoa, we're getting ramped!
Get unlimited access to the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup with highlights, news, and more. Truly unlimited data, only from Sprint.
This is not as safe as I initially planned.
Well, that kicking cone is gonna smack you right. Punch you in the mouth, don't put up a fight. Hot crispy onions from way out west. Dog nabbit, hot dabbit, that chill is the best. Cool your sizzle with a bacon and blue. I done reaching for my hatchet, let's split it in two. Mean blue cheese to say please, please, please. That BLT will bring it to your knees.
The new Kickin' Coney and Bacon and Blue Dog. Giddy up. Get your premium beef hot dog on for just $1.99. This is how you Sonic.
NASCAR said, have at it, boys. And the drivers sure took that to heart. It's all about no limits in Texas. Hell, we've seen Gordon and Burton scrapping on the backstretch. Jimmie Johnson's crew chief fired his pit crew mid-race. These are my kind of guys. Get 2 front stretch tickets for only $99 to the AAA Texas 500 and see me, Trace Atkins, in the Axe Salute to the Military pre-race concert. Go to TexasMotorspeedway.com for tickets. NASCAR, it's in my blood.
Busch out in front by a second and 8/10 with 107 laps to go here at Charlotte Motor Speedway in race 5 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Beautiful look down on this sparkling mile and a half from our aerial coverage tonight, provided by Goodyear. You know, when you leave the Charlotte Douglas International Airport on a northbound flight, you fly right over the top of this racetrack. Folks flying tonight are getting an extra show they probably weren't expecting. Speaking of a show, Monday Night Football, ESPN, Brandon Marshall and the Miami Dolphins looking for their first win against AFC East rival, the Jets, while Mark Sanchez and company are trying to stay undefeated at home and kind of get back in playoff form. Dolphins-Jets, ESPN's Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern, also available live on Watch ESPN, coverage starting at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's.
If there's ever a game that both teams need a win, that's it right there.
Do you have any idea what Brandon Marshall was talking about the other day? How long he's going to be in this game?
No. Lost me.
Letting it all hang out and maybe I'll be out of it by halftime. I don't know. We'll see.
Kyle Busch is in the game.
Was too.
Yep. This is race 5 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, the only night race in the chase. 500-miler at the very fast and sometimes fickle Charlotte Motor Speedway. Story of the night, driver of that 18-car, Kyle Busch. Team had to change engines after they stripped a bolt out in doing its maintenance work, getting ready for the race. Violation of NASCAR's one engine per weekend rule designed to save costs, so he had to start last. He's leading the race. So far tonight, just 3 cautions, all for debris. Been mostly a green flag race tonight. Kyle Busch, Greg Biffle, Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth doing most of the leading. Let's get you up to speed while we watch some of these guys blast around here at a high rate of speed. Mike, how about Kyle Busch?
Well, Alan, you know what they say when you start at the back. You've got nowhere to go but up. And that's all Kyle Busch has done. They've had some problems with an aero push. They've overcome that. They had some problems being slightly tight in the center. They've overcome that. They haven't made many adjustments to this race car all night. It's pretty good right now, Dave.
My last question to Matt's crew chief this morning about the car was, hey, I heard your teammate, Greg Biffle, was good tonight. He said, yeah, or he'll be good tonight. He said, yeah. Are you going to go to his setup? No, I'm not going to do that because Matt knows what he's searching for, and we're staying with that direction. That's a good call. They're still running in the top 2, Doc.
Tony Stewart, who began the night as the pole sitter, led over the green flag, led a lot of laps, and right now the only issue he's had all night long is happening right now. He said the car has stopped rolling the center. It will not roll the middle of the corner. I can't get it to turn, and we have some issues. That's why he has now dropped back to 3rd position. Otherwise, the car seems okay. They will make that adjustment on the next stop. Alan.
Brad Keselowski on pit road. Last pitted at lap 192, kind of early, Shannon.
Yeah, well, they just went a lap down, Alan, as we were watching the 18 go around, and they're going to bring it down. Struggling with this car the entire race. They have managed to stay on the lead lap until this point, bringing it down for 4 tires and fuel.
All right, Andy, what's the play there?
Well, they just, once you take that, you go a lap down, you just go ahead and make that stop, and then hope that you can pit, get 5 or 10 laps on the leaders. You can make up some time on him, and then get back on the lead lap that way.
Yeah, make up a little time there, drag some other people in with you. Might not be in a bad spot. Shannon?
Jeff Burton, the car has been tight all race long. Air pressure is what they've been calling for all day. They're going to go for it again, guys.
And we're going to see a whole wave of guys trying to move to pit road early, Doc.
Exactly. There's the one car, the defending race winner from a year ago there. Davey McMurray trying to get his car dialed in. Then 3 off. And let's go to Mike.
Steve Addington calling for a slight track bar adjustment, a half a round down, and a 4-tire change on the 22 car for Kurt Busch. They complete their stop, a quick one for the 22. Dave?
48 car of Jimmie Johnson is in right now. He said on this run it was a little bit snug going through the corners. He's going to get another chassis adjustment and an air pressure adjustment for Johnson.
And Tony Stewart very, very tight. He told him a moment ago it would not roll the center of the corner. Major chassis adjustment, left rear, 4 tires. He's away.
Watching Kyle Busch continue to lead, watching Trevor Bayne coasting slowly down the back straightaway. Not sure he's going to make it back around.
No, I think broke coming
make it back here.
He broke coming down the front straightaway.
What happened, Dave?
Trevor Bayne said the fuel gauge was blinking. Now, you guys were talking about the slow pit stop that he had earlier in the race. That was actually a problem. The fuel gauge, pressure gauge, dropped when he was on pit road. It did come back up, but that's kind of been a plaguing thing for this 21 team, and it was a fast race car all day. Caution on the track.
For Trevor Bayne's car.
Man, I can't believe he ran out of gas on that fuel last, but man, that is a tough break. This car was super fast tonight. That's what happened. He just ran out of fuel right here at start-finish line, actually on the front straight.
Got to be wrong in the fuel cell. Has to be. I mean, that's 2 laps less than last time. Something's wrong, Nick. We're out of gas.
Donnie Wingo, the crew chief, talking to driver Trevor Bayne. Caution coming out in the middle of a cycle of green flag pit stops is going to make things a little interesting,
to say the least.
Chops us down to 12 cars on the lead lap, but there'll be a whole pile of them that stay out and don't pit under this yellow that were just on the pit lane that are going to take advantage of NASCAR's wave around rule. Explain that when we get to see it. Tony Stewart, first car not on the lead lap when the caution comes out, so he is going to get the free pass. 13th place Stewart.
And Trevor Bayne was doing such a great job. Andy and I were watching so many times that he had the fastest lap on the racetrack in the top 10 all night. Very competitive.
Yeah, made a good green flag stop the stop before, so they were moving their way back up. Looked like they were going to be in the top 5 before too much longer. That's not what they needed there. Man, that's too bad.
Stops with 95 laps to go here. Dave?
Matt Kenseth will give up the second position. 4 tires for Matt. They'll get an adjustment for a car that has gone loose, and that'll be an air pressure adjustment, it does appear. The 9-car Marcus Ambrose in as well. Great night for them so far. Been running in the top 10 most of the night. His car losing the front grip. He'll get an adjustment as well. Shannon?
Earl Edwards is still your points leader. Says the car's the best it's been as far as speed is concerned. He still is a little bit tight. They're going to make a track bar and air pressure adjustment. Mike?
Dave Rogers asked Kyle Busch what he needed. Busch said nothing at all. 4 tires and fuel on the 18.
18 and 17 will be the first 2 off the pit lane. Kyle Busch, Matt Kenseth. And yes, the herd thinned by the timing of the caution. A bunch of other guys are going to get back on the lead lap, but those who had not pitted, like Greg Biffle in that 16 car, just gained a lot of track position.
Yeah, big break for him. Fast race car, and up there, he'll be right up there with the leaders now.
Another one, Casey Kane, coming to the front late.
We'll reset the order for the restart after this from our ABC stations. Getting ready to double up for a restart in the Bank of America 500 as we move toward the later stages of this race. You're about to see a bunch of cars pass the pace car. These are all the cars that pitted under the green flag, trapped a lap down by the caution flag when the yellow waves. Pace car gets in front of the leaders, bunches up the field behind it. Leaders who pit rejoin at the tail end of the field. These cars did not pit. NASCAR wants the leader to be the first car behind the pace car. They get waved around and essentially get the opportunity to get a lap back.
That explains it pretty well.
That's as good as I can do.
Not bad.
So Kyle Busch, the race leader, Tony Stewart, first car lap down at the yellow. He gets to come back around and did come down and top off the fuel. Jimmie Johnson gets back onto the lead lap with the wave around. And he is the only one that is going to get back on the lead lap of all of those cars you just saw waved around the pace car. All of them were a couple of laps down. Distance they were from the leader when they made the pit stop and then came back. They ended up 2 laps down, and then pace car trapped him there.
Yeah, we saw like Brad Keselowski made the pit stop early. He's the one that actually started this land rush of everybody making these green flag stops, but that did not work out for him at all. That's the worst case scenario of that caution coming out in the middle of the cycle.
Been a while for Roush Fenway Racing.
They've never won here either. I mean, they haven't won here since 02. Yes, the Ford hasn't.
They have 3 of the top 4 cars right now as we get set to go back racing. Kyle Busch, the leader, 18, choosing the outside lane. Matt Kenseth, 17 with him. Then Edwards, 99. Reagan, 6. 92 laps to go. Slow restart. Look at the field bunch up. down in front of Matt Kenseth to reclaim that top spot.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason he chose that outside lane. He knew that he could hold Matt Kenseth down there, and his car would not be able to complete that pass because you get so loose.
I kind of wonder about that restart, though. It looked like they really slowed up right coming to the green.
They saw a lot of cars spinning the tires. David Reagan in the 6 looked like probably had the most trouble of getting up to speed.
Second place, Carl Edwards, 99. Not quite able to clear his teammate Kenseth. And Casey Kane in the 4 car jumping into this picture all of a sudden.
Like Andy pointed out earlier, when it gets time to win, he's a lot like Matt Kenseth. Just keep working on that car, inching his way forward. He's right there now.
Especially here during the night races. So it seems like Casey Kane has a really good sense of what he needs when this track gets cooled down right at the end of the race. He kept their car in contention, and now he's up there.
Here comes Greg Biffle to the outside. We talked about what a break that cycle of stops was for the 16.
All he needs is somewhere to go right now. He's going fast. See, all of these Fords working really well up there right now.
All right, couldn't find a lane on the outside. I'll try the bottom.
Yeah, that was good patience by Biffle there, knowing how good a car. Look at him just wheel this thing off the corner. Never backed out the gas.
When that car looks to you like it's dancing around like that, it is at 180 miles an hour.
I promise you, it feels a lot more hung out than what we see there on TV when you're inside the race car.
Nice little hornet's nest coming at you. That's Jimmy Johnson.
Start behind a lot of lap cars on this restart. By being that wave around car, he could not line up right behind the lead lap car.
Yep. By NASCAR rule, when you take advantage of that, you start at the back of the pack.
They figure they're giving you that whole lap, basically, that they're not going to give you even more by letting you line up in front of the lap car.
So even though Johnson is running in 14th spot, he's probably about 20th or so in line on the racetrack. Trevor Bayne, car that brought the caution out, back under power, 33rd place, 3 laps down. And that's tough.
That is a tough one. That is, you don't many nights get such a good race car as they had tonight, and not to execute better than that, it's got to be really disappointing for them.
Yeah, it's not keeping him from wheeling this thing. He came off of turn 4 the last time and down the front straightaway, 3 wide situation in the middle of it. Came out in front of those other 2, though.
So Kyle Busch has settled into about a 1-second lead over Matt Kenseth, who has settled in his advantage over Carl Edwards after the first intense couple of laps after the restart. Remember when we saw Matt Kenseth squeeze in front of Carl Edwards earlier, and Carl gave the wave up? We caught this on their radio just after that pass.
Clear right there, all clear. You gave it to him. Thank you. That wasn't me. I think it was Matt. Thank you. No problem, but pretty good switching that radio around. Yeah, I agree. He's the best I've ever seen at it. I think he has a speed dial there, old boy.
Conversation with the teammates while they're racing at speed against each other. 4 and 6, Kane and Reagan racing for 5th and 6th, while Dale Earnhardt Jr. has just come to pit road, Doc.
Quickly came on, said, I got an issue. They said, come down just 4 tires. Vibration, he's down and away. An unscheduled stop for the 88 car, guys.
That'll hurt.
It seems like it's something every race with the 88 that they keep working on it and just can't seem to put together a full race.
So Kane passed Reagan for 5th behind Kyle Busch, the race leader with 82 laps to go. We go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Bank of America.
drivers demand the most from their tires. They choose Goodyear. And everything we've learned making these tires inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven.
You won't find the toughness of a Ram 1500 combined with the legendary power of a Hemi V8 in any other truck. It's a beautiful thing. Guts, glory, Ram.
With DirecTV, you can start watching in one room, pause, and continue watching in any other room. Experience it yourself. Get your whole home connected for free. Don't just watch TV, DirecTV.
It's 5:30 a.m. I got a car, a couple cameras. Gonna go have some fun. I can get closer. Here's the true test. Chris, let's see what you got.
NOS High-Performance Energy Drink. Power through. Find NOS at your nearest Dollar General store.
You ready for this? I just signed the whole family up for unlimited mobile-to-mobile minutes.
You're kidding.
No.
Where's that money coming from, Steve? Did it even cross your mind to ask your wife before signing us up for something so expensive? My mother was right. I should have married John Clark.
They were free. I got them when I signed us up for unlimited messaging.
Get more value from AT&T. Buy an unlimited messaging plan and call any U.S. mobile phone free. AT&T.
So you think you can hang with us? Then you'll have to endure some bumper-to-bumper traffic. Deal with some tough customers getting up in your grill. And get into a few scrapes. And to those who don't expect us to go all out on every lap, we've got one word for you. Tough.
Kyle Busch started last. He's running first with 75 laps to go tonight here in Charlotte. Over 19 million people welcome Tim Allen back to ABC, making Last Man Standing television's newest comedy hit. ABC's Last Man Standing, all new Tuesday, 8/7 Central on ABC. So remember earlier in the race when Jimmie Johnson was up running in the top few spots, we showed you the way the championship standings would look at that moment. Well, this latest turn of events with Johnson getting trapped by the caution in the middle of green flag pit stops and having to take the wave around. Now instead of running second or third at the time, he's running 13th. And at 1 point per position, that shuffles Jimmy back in those standings.
Yes, shuffled him back, but Carl Edwards, by being up there in the top 5 for the majority of the nights, got him right where he started the ninth, and that would be atop the standings.
Matt Kenseth closing on Kyle Busch. While Tony Stewart and Jimmie Johnson exchange a position. That would be for 12th and 13th. Really haven't seen Stewart go anywhere since this restart.
Well, they've kind of lost the handle of the track in their car right now. They jumped out on those 2 tires that they got under that one caution and jumped down in front of everybody after they made the green flag stop that wasn't very good and haven't been able to recover since.
Rusty Brad, clean air is king, it looks like, huh?
Oh, man, you got that right, guys. Clean air is king right now. You know, one car I'm looking at, in fact, a couple, Stewart, Gordon, those guys back there, Johnson, they've got themselves locked back 12th, 13th, 14th in that area. I think in order to get themselves forward, they're going to have to take a gamble, guys. Get 2 tires on this thing, you know, and then this next stop, because I remember how good Tony Stewart ran with those 2-tire guys. When he got that clean air, he got up front, his car handled good, he kept that track position. I'm afraid those guys are back are going to have to do the same thing now if they're going to try to win this race, get some points.
Well, I tell you what, Rusty, I'm watching that and I was thinking the same thing. But I'm looking at these guys, especially Jeff Gordon. He's come from way back, got himself up to 14th. If they could perhaps get a restart, I think you got to go like it's nobody's business and get as many spots as you possibly can. So you might want to have 4 tires so you can go get you some spots.
Now, the question about all that, Rusty and Brad, is whether the circumstances present themselves for them to even be able to play that strategy, right? This race has had a really green flag look to it for a lot of the night.
Everybody's spread out there. Absolutely right, Alan.
So,
absolutely right.
If we go green from here to the finish, they'll all make one more pit stop, and they'll have to take 4 tires and fuel, and there's no opportunity to play any strategy to try and steal some finishing spots and some points. Kyle Busch leads, 70 laps to go. Time for NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Bank of America.
1,
2,
3,
1,
2,
and 3. With the Bank America Cash Rewards credit card, earn more cash back for the things you buy most.
1% cash back everywhere, every time.
2% cash back on groceries.
3% back on gas, automatically.
No hoops to jump through. It's as easy as 1,
2,
3. The Bank America Cash Rewards card. Apply online or at a Bank of America near you.
AT&T and Verizon charge you extra for going over 2 gigabytes of data. T-Mobile slows down your data speed. With Sprint, you don't get charged extra and you don't slow down. And you get unlimited data, text, and calling to any mobile for only $79.99. The best unlimited plan wins. Make the most of unlimited data with a brilliant screen on a pencil-thin phone. Introducing the Samsung Galaxy S2 Epic 4G Touch.
People think because I spend all my weekends at the racetrack, my life is predictable. Actually, things are constantly changing. And whether I need to protect my ATV, my truck, a new home, cover my home away from home, having life insurance, or a growing business, with Nationwide Insurance, I can bundle them together and save. You can too, up to 25%. So call Nationwide Insurance today to bundle and save.
Nationwide is on your side. Call 866-500-5555.
Here's to the pursuit. The pursuit of better. Faster. Cleaner. Funner. Here's to the pursuit of a Pennzoil motor oil so advanced, Elio uses it straight from the bottle in his IndyCar. Here's to the pursuit of another 100 years of earning America's trust. Not just oil. Pennzoil.
Hey fans, customize my gear. My gear. My gear. My gear. Only at the NASCAR.com Superstore.
Following Kyle Busch around the Charlotte Motor Speedway from our aerial coverage tonight, brought to you by Goodyear. That 18 car with 4 Goodyear Racing Eagles bolted onto it, running a lap of 181 miles an hour average last time around this racetrack. Kyle, coming into this race, 8th in the championship, 20 positions behind the leader. When you look at Kyle's career wins, February through April, pretty good number. Summertime, really strong. But when it's time to decide the championship, not as strong. Just the 2 wins, one in September, one in November, across Kyle Busch's career. As they've gotten into this championship, this year and another time, being the leader of the championship, entering the chase, and things haven't gone well, it's led some people to wonder why. You know, you got Reggie Jackson, Mr. October. Kyle Busch is not appearing to be Mr. October. Can this driver and this team be strong enough under pressure in the closing months of this championship to win it?
Well, we've seen him, we've seen Kyle Busch able to go out and put up a bunch of wins. And I've always thought if he ever breaks that and gets where he can start winning some races late in the season, I think he's going to be the champion. Who knows, this might be the year.
Well, I've questioned and I've asked the question to people at Joe Gibbs Racing. In fact, is he too distracted with all the other racing he does? Does he get a little burnout? I know he has a lot of energy. He races a lot. But in this chase, the only people that we've seen win these chases so far are people that are running strictly these cup races. They don't have any other distractions. Now, I know Carl Edwards does a lot of other things, too. He hasn't won a championship yet either. So until that, I'm going to think that he can't put all the focus that he needs to into winning a Sprint Cup championship.
Speaking of championship, Auburn Tigers, last year's college football BCS champions. And if you have just joined us after watching Auburn beat Florida tonight, you're watching Kyle Busch try to hold off Matt Kenseth for the lead in the late stages of tonight's Bank of America 500. Mike Massaro is in the Kyle Busch pit.
With his crew chief, Dave Rogers. And Dave, now, as we enter the critical stages of this race, about 60 laps remaining. From a race strategy standpoint, how do you see this thing playing out?
Well, it's been a track position race all day. We're the exception. We started with last. We're leading, but it's just so hard to pass people. Even when we're going by lap cars, we slow down a lot. So we're going to do all we can to protect our track position for the rest of the night.
You get the perspective of another one of the contenders here tonight. We go to Dave Burns.
With Jimmy Benning, he's a crew chief for Matt Kenseth. Jimmy, you told me you might not be that great. Were you surprised how well Matt's done tonight?
It's been pretty good. You know, we need a little bit more. We're a little bit too free right there, but we'll keep working on it.
When does your final fuel window open?
We can make it to our next window.
Okay. Hey, we don't know what it's going to be, but they can definitely make it. Alan?
When does your fuel window open? Yes.
He dodged that one pretty good. That's good.
Well, Matt Kenseth closing a little bit at a time on Kyle Busch. We're back to Charlotte after this from our ABC stations.
ESPN's coverage of the Bank of America 500 on ABC. Brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of NASCAR. Sprint, proud sponsor of the Chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Craftsman, trust in your hands. And Gillette Fusion Pro Glide and the Irritation Defense Line. Help defend your skin.
A very fast Bank of America 500 so far tonight at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Just 4 caution flags, either for debris and one for a car stopped on the racetrack that was out of fuel. No crashes tonight, somewhat surprisingly. And a race for the lead between 18 and 17, Kyle Busch and Matt Kenseth, as we approach a round of green flag pit stops very soon. Dale, very few cautions. The cautions we've had have all been very quick. The effect on a driver at a fast racetrack like this is what?
Yeah, you have to be fit right now. That's whenever we see the drivers that really keep themselves in shape doing well right now, because we've talked about the amount of grip, the banking in the corners, a lot of G-forces there, really tires you out. So you have to be in shape to handle this at the end of the race, because you have to go fast. The track's just getting faster as it continues to cool off.
Where do you feel the fatigue first? I mean, you feel it in your neck, your arms? I mean, what gives up first?
Yeah, your neck is where you start to feel it, and that makes it hard to focus down into the corner, getting back to the gas and being able to get the car through the center of the corner as fast as you need to and on the exit. Really slings you over to the right side of the seat.
Whoa, that was close with that 17 car. Just a little bobble there off turn 4. But in it. And these front 4 look like they're closing up. Edwards 99, Biffle 16, closing in.
I'm looking the man that's the most fit of that group. Not saying the others aren't pretty fit, but I know Carl Edwards in the routine that he has of keeping himself in good shape. See him keep closing in. He's been one of the top 3 fastest here over about the last 6 laps.
Beginning to see some cars trickle onto pit road for green flag stops. Brad Keselowski is in now. Shannon.
They have been struggling with this car the entire race. Brad told his crew chief he feels like he's down on power. He said that something is just wrong with the car. It's going to be 4 tires, and they said pack it full of fuel. Mike.
Greg Biffle saying the car is just a hair loose. They'll make a minor wedge adjustment on the left rear. Also 4 tires and Sunoco race fuel on the 16 car. Otherwise, Greg Biffle very happy with his car, Dave.
Jimmy Johnson is going to get a chassis adjustment on the 48 car. He said it was tight, twitchy, and edgy to the center early on in the run. Send it back out, Doc.
Kevin Harvick said the car early on was tied in and tied off. Then it got really good the last 10 laps. No major changes. Just going to be very clean on this stop. 14 car. Pole sitter Tony Stewart in for what should be his final stop. And the yellow is out. The caution on the racetrack, Alan.
Dave Blaney's 36 car showing some smoke from behind it. And the cause of the caution.
Did it let go or are you still running?
Boy, that's going to mix things up again right here in the middle of this green flag cycle.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, oh, boy.
So, caution number 5 with 47 laps to go.
Well, Brad Keselowski can't catch a break. Every time he pits, the caution comes out.
Last time, Tony Stewart was on pit road just before that caution came out and ended up the first car a lap down and was able to get the free pass and get back in cycle with these leaders. This time, Marcos Ambrose is going to get the free pass. Greg Biffle. Check that. NASCAR rechecking its scoring. Greg Biffle is going to get the free pass. Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, among those that are going to have to take that wave around.
Yeah, it'd be a big break for Greg Biffle for that to happen. He'll be able to line up in front of those cars that are going to eventually take the wave around.
That's right. Right at the end of their tank of fuel for these leaders. So pit road open. They'll be glad to come in right now. Critical stop, Dave. 46 to go.
We heard Jimmy Fennick say that Matt's car was just a little bit loose, so he will get a 4-tire change, the windshield tear off so he can see what he's doing, hopefully win this race. Air pressure adjustment for Matt. Meanwhile, in the triples, the 4 of Casey Kane. He comes in with a very loose race car. They'll go up just a quarter turn on the left rear wedge. Shannon.
Carl Edwards in that center box. They're going to continue to try to free this car up. Track bar, air pressure, 4 tires full of fuel. Mike?
The 18 team pumping their fists when that caution came out. They knew they caught a break. They take advantage of it. A very fast 4-tire change, Alan.
So Kyle first off the pit lane.
I think Casey Kane gained a spot. Carl Edwards loses one.
And a shuffling of the running order again. The caution, a bad break for some. We'll get set for the restart and set those stories after we go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Bank of America.
Goodyear, driven by those who use the world as their proving ground. And everything we've learned making these tires inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven.
Oh, Rudy, you're so nice to me.
Well, no more. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Oh, and you're funny, too. That's cute.
Mike, there's nothing funny about it. I'm the new Aaron spokesperson now, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Did you empty my bedpan? Hey.
I'm the man.
Yeah, Mr. Butler's here. Come on.
Okay.
You stand right here behind me, the official Aaron spokesperson, handpicked by Mr. Ken Butler.
What a suck-up.
Action. Remember, when you want a guaranteed low price on brand name furniture, electronics, appliances, and computers,
you don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's.
Say cheese. Are you smiling yet? Of course you are, especially since the new Let's Get Cheesy menu starts at just $4.99. Only at Denny's. America's Diner is always open.
When a job calls for more muscle than a drill, Craftsman impact drivers answer the call, delivering over 3,000 impacts per minute, giving you greater torque for greater force to power through the toughest jobs. Craftsman, trust in your hands.
Because of these changes, the battle for the 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series trophy is going to be one for the history books. Let's continue by taking a look at some of the new cars that you'll see on track this year. Collect all 4.
Are there going to be any drivers on this tour?
Ta-da!
Can they breathe in there?
The 2011 NASCAR Nationwide Series. Something new around every turn.
Getting ready for a restart with 43 laps to go in the Bank of America 500 at Charlotte. You just saw Kevin Harvick, Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, and Marcos Ambrose pass the pace car, taking a wave around and getting back on the lead lap. But they'll be way back in line with some lap cars between them and the lead lap cars. Kyle Busch's pit crew holding the lead on this trip down pit road. Coach passing out attaboys.
He knows how to do that. He's a good people person.
Last night's NASCAR Nationwide Series race here at Charlotte, Kyle Busch was the race leader late. Carl Edwards, who had rallied back from that bounce off the wall earlier in the event, managed to get the drop on Kyle at that last restart and left Kyle frustrated with a runner-up finish, while Carl went on to do the celebratory backflip in victory lane. So now Kyle, as the race leader, will have Matt Kenseth to his inside for another crucial late restart.
Kyle Busch's pit crew has flat got the job done tonight, though. They've had the fastest pit stop that last time, 12.4, and kept them up front. But I think he's going to have his hands full right here.
Yeah, anytime you can beat that 17 crew out, you've done your job properly on pit road.
Have waved off the restart to make sure they have the field properly lined up with all those wave around cars and the lap cars and so on. And so it'll be one more lap and we will go back racing.
Yeah, Matt Kenseth's car being a little bit loose down on the inside. He may have a difficult time once again trying to get by Kyle Busch on this restart.
If you remember that last restart too, they came down to the line really slow and it kind of stacked up a lot of cars behind them. You're watching for that this time.
While we wait for them to come back around for the restart, reminder that coming up later on tonight, qualifying for the NHRA Arizona Nationals, 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. Big day tomorrow for the Eyes on IndyCar World Series, the World Championship season finale race. Championship will be decided between Dario Franchitti and Will Power. That's ABC, 3 Eastern Time, presented by Sunoco. Then the Drag Racing Arizona Nationals, 7 Eastern Finals, ESPN2. Our NASCAR Now Monday Roundtable wraps up the weekend at 2:30 Eastern on Monday. And then it's on to Talladega for race 6 in the chase. Some rule changes, making that a little bit even more of an unknown than what it normally is. And that's next Sunday, a week from tomorrow on ESPN.
Yeah, talking to a lot of drivers and crew chiefs and crew members, they don't really know what to expect from the rule changes that they've had at Talladega. Should be fun to watch. We know it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, that'll be a hold your breath race. That $100,000 bonus the track's put up, if there are 100 lead changes in the race, had 88 and 87 lead changes in the last couple of races there.
I think this restart's going to be one of those hold your breath moments.
I think you're right. It's time to win this thing now.
Last restart, Kyle Busch brought him down at a very slow pace, waited kind of late in the restart zone to go. Busch and Matt Kenseth again in the first and second positions, 42 to go. What's going to happen?
Kenseth really spun the tires right there.
David Reagan 6, looking 3 wide to the inside. Contact with Kasey Kahne. Jeff Gordon's around. Look out, whole field behind him.
Well, Kevin Harvick just did miss Kasey Kahne right there. I think he missed him.
Like there's really no damage on these cars. It looks like they stalled.
So restart not only got wild, it got ugly.
No, but a huge break for those guys that took the wave around too. Now they'll be up there closer where the rest of the lead lap cars were and in front of some of these others.
Man, what happened right there?
Well, they were racing for 5th, 6th, and 7th. On that restart, Jeff Gordon looks like he's got some damage on that car.
Yeah, he just finally got into the top 10 tonight by being able to stay out there that last round.
Yeah, he got a huge break with that caution coming out like it did. Yeah, you can see David Reagan was down inside Kasey Kahne, and looked like Gordon just didn't give him enough room.
No, he didn't get enough, but David Reagan looked like he clipped the apron, and that shot him up the racetrack a little bit into the side of Kasey Kahne's number 4. This right here, see the 6 car get down and go up. That forced him into Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, it really wasn't Jeff not leaving enough room. It was just the 6 car getting on the apron.
Oh, Kevin Harvick. I thought he was going to hit Kasey Kahne whenever we saw it at speed the first time.
Well, Jeff did a good job of trying to save that car. Stayed in the throttle.
This would be a fun look. Ride with Kevin Harvick.
Oh, y'all think this is fun, do you?
Top is, you got to spin, stay, it's going in the middle. Yeah, I don't know where you're at.
I was with you.
One lane only. Outside. I couldn't see. I lost you. Point to the grass, man. I probably.
Look at Gordon Wheel that time.
Save it.
Yeah, he was standing in the throttle, trying to get it out of harm's way there.
Love that at night. You could see his eyes looking down when the car was sideways.
That's just the way it's been for us. That's my bad. Totally my fault.
I don't agree with you. Totally.
So pit road is going to be open to lead lap cars here. So some of those guys, like you talked about, DJ, like Jimmy Johnson and so on, that got the wave around at that last caution, they'll be able to stop here and get not just on equal tires, but even slightly fresher tires than some of the guys they'll be trying to overtake when we go back racing. First real accident of the night, 293 laps into this race. A race for 5th, 6th, and 7th that went bad on a restart. We go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Bank of America.
80 Tober 5 $5 footlong. October's now Anytober. Any regular footlong is a $5 footlong, starting at 7 a.m. Subway, eat fresh.
Trying to stay on track?
Start the day off right with a protein-packed breakfast like the Sunrise Subway Melt. Try it with juicy tomatoes for a breakfast that stands out from the pack.
Subway, the official training restaurant of Apollo Ono and athletes everywhere.
Walking my way, it's just how I want to do it. Changing up my mind, it's just how we're gonna do it.
Turn your world upside down with Gillette Fusion Pro Glide, because you can shave against the grain with comfort. Fusion Pro Glide's microcomb guides hair for its thinner blades to cut close effortlessly. Get against the grain closeness comfortably with Gillette Fusion Pro Glide.
It's no coincidence the Toyota Tundra has received the most dependable large pickup award from J.D. Power and Associates. Not once, not twice, but 6 years in a row. Now that's a statement no other truck can make. Full-size Tundra from Toyota.
Like so many great pioneers before me, guided only by a dream, I'm embarking on a journey of epic proportion. I will travel from sea to shining sea, through amber waves of grain, and I won't stop until I've helped every driver in America save hundreds on car insurance. Well, I'm out of the parking lot. That's a good start.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Over 19 million celebrated Tim Allen. I'm back! In his return to ABC.
How old do I look?
25.
I'll be serious.
35. 17. Please make this stop. And Tuesday, things get even funnier with the premiere of Man Up.
How'd you get Teresa to be cool with you playing tonight? I just asked her in the right way. You want to have sex?
The premiere of Man Up. Right after an all-new Last Man Standing. Starting Tuesday at 8, 7 Central on ABC.
So doubled up for the restart with 38 laps to go. Restart will be with 37 to go. And this time, instead of Matt Kenseth being to Kyle Busch's inside, it'll be Carl Edwards, because Kenseth just didn't really get going on that last restart.
Now you can see Matt Kenseth spin the rear tires right there. Really clogged things up behind him.
Yeah, and you see Dave Reagan then starts to look inside Casey Kane, get down to the corner, and it looked like Jeff Gordon had to back off and kind of got back into this.
All right, couple of pit stops by championship contending cars before we get the restart. Dave?
Alan, Jimmy Johnson radioed in. I didn't slide a tire. Life is good. However, he got some grass that came off of other cars that did go through the grass on his grill, so they came in, put 4 tires on, and cleaned off the grill. There's Matt Kenseth in 17. He did not pit, stayed out for his track position, guys. Doc?
And Kevin Harvick had the same issue with the little excursion through the grass, had grass on the grill. Water temperature was at 250 and rising, so they had no choice but to come down pit road, clean that front grill, and put 4 tires on it, top it off with fuel. He's okay. 3 starts in 10th, guys.
How's the water, Mama? 50 and rising.
So we're going to go back racing now with 36 laps to go as you look down on Charlotte Motor Speedway on this kind of crisp, I would imagine, by now, October night. Our aerial coverage of tonight's race brought to you by Goodyear. Major stories of this race. Kyle Busch started last after changing an engine. NASCAR's 1 engine per weekend cost-saving rule. He had to drop to the back of the field. He is running first and has been the guy that's led the most laps tonight. Tony Stewart, Greg Biffle, other guys who spent a lot of time up front. Biffle missing lugged on a pit stop, dropped him a lap down. He's gotten back into the hunt in 7th position for the restart. Stewart, for the last 2 times, had just made a green flag pit stop. And then a caution came out, and he's been struggling to get back to the front of the pack and regain some of that track position. Carl Edwards now to the inside of Kyle Busch for this restart. Shannon?
Hasn't always been Carl Edwards' best track, 13th average finish. Back at the All-Star race, guys, they tried something. They experimented. It worked. He won. That is the same setup they brought here this weekend. They've been slowly working on it, but the car's fast.
6 to go. And again, the inside lane doesn't go.
That's going to be a lot of grip down on that inside part. See, Denny Hamlin looked like he was going to take that second spot. Carl Edwards fighting back, though.
Edwards does hang on to second. Hamlin pestering him for that spot. Matt Kenseth, 17, looking for some running room.
Well, pretty impressive. Joe Gibbs Racing. They've been struggling on these mile-and-a-half racetracks. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, first and third right now.
Oh, Greg Biffle scraping the wall. And Tony Stewart there hanging on. Oh. And Biffle into the wall.
Yeah, he might have had a tire going down.
Hold it up there. Hold it up there.
Caution out again.
Hold it up there. They're still coming.
Well, that continues a season-long pattern for this 16. Fast race car.
That's pretty bad. 14 runners in the fence off of 4.
Looks like it had cut that left front tire down, so I think that might be what Greg's talking about. That's the tire that's flat. It's not the right front, but the left front. Must have been in contact with Tony Stewart, is what Greg's reporting.
Let's see. There they are.
Well, you didn't see any contact between the two. Oh, you sure see Biffle. You know, Biffle's already, he's outside. I wouldn't say that Tony ran him into the wall, but he
felt like he did. Look at that.
And then I think that's what cut his left front, actually, was that last bit of contact.
Yeah, I think I'd have to disagree with Greg there. I don't think I saw any contact from Tony Stewart that did that. Now, the air probably had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, definitely a lot of space between the two cars coming off the corner. And that's what cut the tire right there. That contact, the secondary contact, which caused this hard lick.
I agree. Now, the question is, was Biff turning into Tony to say, hey, I didn't appreciate that, or was that just trying to regain control?
No, that was turning in. He didn't appreciate that.
That was
It didn't work out too good for him.
Delivering a message that didn't go over the way he expected. Stewart coming onto pit road along with Kurt Busch. Look at that right rear on the 14 car.
Yeah, a lot of damage. Critical part of the race car there for side force and down force that you need.
Mike?
Yeah, Kurt Busch rolling down to his pit stop now, taking advantage of this quickie yellow. Team going to work. They're going to top off the fuel tank, I would think. Actually, don't see that happening. They're just going to work now on the right side. And here comes the fuel as they swing around to the left. Doc?
And likewise, the right rear damage, critical part aerodynamically for the back of that car. Still pulling on the fender, trying to get things buckled down where it's
You see the right side of the car trying to get it puckered back under there where the air can go around the back of the car. 4 tires. Alan.
33 to go. After a very clean and green race for a lot of the night, very halting stretch toward the finish of the Bank of America 500. We go NASCAR Nonstop, presented by Bank of America.
1,
2,
3,
1,
2,
and 3. With the Bank America Cash Rewards credit card, earn more cash back for the things you buy most.
1% cash back everywhere, every time.
2% cash back on groceries.
3% back on gas, automatically.
No hoops to jump through.
It's as easy as 1,
2,
3. The Bank America Cash Rewards card. Apply online or at a Bank of America near you.
Driven by those who use the world as their proving ground. And everything we've learned making these tires inspires what we roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven.
Oh, Rudy, you're so nice to me.
Well, no more. No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Oh, and you're funny, too. That's cute.
Mike, there's nothing funny about it. I'm the new Aaron spokesperson now, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Did you empty my bedpan?
Hey. I'm the man.
Yeah, Mr. Butler's here. Come on.
Okay.
You stand right here behind me, the official Aaron spokesperson, handpicked by Mr. Ken Butler.
What a suck-up. Action.
Remember, when you want a guaranteed low price on brand name furniture, electronics, appliances, and computers,
you don't need credit. All you need is Aaron's.
You ready for this? I just signed the whole family up for unlimited mobile-to-mobile minutes.
You're kidding.
No.
Where's that money coming from, Steve? Did it even cross your mind to ask your wife before signing us up for something so expensive? My mother was right. I should have married John Clark.
They were free. I got them when I signed us up for unlimited messaging.
Get more value from AT&T. Buy an unlimited messaging plan and call any U.S. mobile phone free. AT&T.
Three cautions in quick succession, setting up restarts where the inside lane has had difficulty going. Carl Edwards in the 99 inside of Kyle Busch, 31 to go.
All I know is Kyle Busch doesn't have any problem getting his car going every time on these restarts.
That was a little better restart for Carl on the inside. Here comes Matt taking a look.
Kyle Busch leading, Edwards second, Kenseth third, Hamlin fourth. Being pressured there by Marcos Ambrose, trying to get up a little closer to the front in that 9 car.
Big power move by Kenseth there to go around Carl Edwards. He knows there's not a lot of laps here. He couldn't let that 18 get very far away.
Kenseth, one of the faster cars all night.
He was able to pass the 99 on the high side. Can he do it here?
He is there. Kurt Busch got the free pass at that last caution. He's back on the lead lap in 14th spot. Tony Stewart made a pit stop under that caution. He's in 13th. That's the race for the lead.
See Kenseth doing everything he can to get some clean air on the nose of his car to where he can make that run that he needs.
This is where they talk about dirty air, Dale, like you were talking about, when that big rear spoiler on the trunk of that car in front disturbs the air enough that it doesn't put enough pressure on the hood and the front tires on that car that's trailing.
Yeah, it'll go across that rear spoiler that you would see on the 18 car there, and literally up over to really the roof is about where it lands, maybe the windshield, so you're not getting that front downforce to get the car turned so you can get back in the gas and try to make a pass. But he is working hard trying to make it happen. Speaking of Kenseth there working, Kyle Busch is driving hard too, but he knows if he can stay on the bottom, it's going to be hard for Kenseth to get by him.
Toyota versus Ford. Kyle Busch, frustrated at trying to win races in the stretch of the championship. Matt Kenseth, the quiet one, feeling perhaps he hasn't been getting the credit he deserves for being a contender for this championship.
Now, what's the two driving styles that are different right here? The 18, see, Kenseth's got a big run, but the 18's going to drive off in the corner a little further. Kenseth's going to back off. See a little distance there. Now he's going to try to go to the inside. Oh, nice move right here.
Kyle tried to block Matt's line. Matt tried to go the other way.
A little contact there.
Got a nose inside. Draws even for the race lead.
Well, you can see Kyle Busch get down there on the 17th quarter round. Got him a little loose, but didn't upset that car too much. Kenseth to the lead.
That was a great move. Man, what a move.
Kyle Busch has led this race for about the last third of its distance. Now Matt Kenseth out in front. 25 laps to go. Can he get away? Will there be another caution?
I think that's Kyle Busch's only hope right now, if there is another caution. I don't think that he runs this 17 car down from this point. He's going to definitely try, but Matt Kenseth has had a strong car all night. Knows what to do when he gets out front.
In the race back here Memorial Weekend, Matt Kenseth led the most laps, had to pit from 4th position for fuel with 8 laps to go. Then the caution came out. He got trapped. Didn't get the finish he was hoping for.
The race was 6th, 7th, and 8th. Ryan Newman's done a good job tonight and his team getting them back in contention.
How about Kevin Harvick looking like he's going to make another finish out of something that all night's really struggled with the handling of this car and get the speed that he needs. This is going to keep him right in the championship hunt.
Remember that move through the grass to avoid that wreck.
I was going to say he's done everything, driving through the grass, whatever it takes.
Ryan Newman, 39, Harvick, 29, and Jimmy Johnson, 48. Remember, Johnson was up in the top 2 earlier.
Yeah, the turning point in the race for the 48 team was taking 4 tires when a pile of cars took 2, putting back about 15th on the restart. He's really had a hard time digging his way back up. He got a good break with the caution to get to where he is now.
Yeah, so a nice rebound for them. They're looking at 7 or 8 points there that keeps them solidly in the mix for a championship, too.
Carl Edwards running 3rd, Harvick 7th, Johnson 8th. Still 21 laps to go, but that's the picture for the moment. At one time during the night tonight, Johnson was leading the championship.
See, at this point, Matt Kenseth would move up there just ahead of Jimmy Johnson into the 3rd spot for the chase.
It's like Matt's found a way for us to talk about it. Run up front. Lead a bunch of laps.
Best way to get attention. Win the race. By the way, also the best way to gain ground on the championship, too.
Yeah, if you win, pretty much assured of that happening, aren't you?
Get the most points when you win. Relative comparison. Fastest cars that last lap.
Yeah, the previous lap it was Casey Kane who was coming up through the pack. Still Casey Kane again. Marcus Ambrose doing a great job tonight, running 4th. He's been solid, really, from start to finish.
How about that 9 car, Dave?
He has had a great night. Remember, he started 12th on the night. The car has been back and forth on the balance side. But the 9 car, Marcus Ambrose, whoa, as you look at Jimmy Johnson trying to pass Ryan Newman coming off of 4. That's a tight battle. They're still side by side there, Alan. Let's send it back to you, but don't forget about Ambrose. He finished 6th here in the spring.
And having a top 5 night hang on there. Jimmy Johnson, sideways.
Is he going to be able to save it?
No. What a hard hit.
We're done, guys. We're in it.
That was a hard lick. Man. He was doing everything he could to try to save it.
Just what we've talked about all night is that air problem that you get being that car on the inside trying to make that pass.
The 5-time champ running 7th with 17 laps to go. looking like he was fighting that car and trying to get all he could.
Well, he was going to take the spot away from Newman, but the problem he had was that 4 car, Casey Kane, was so fast coming from behind.
Sorry, fellas, that was my fault today.
You know, I said that was a turning point of the race for the 48 team when they took those 4 tires. That's what he's talking about. It could be the turning point of the chase for the 48 team.
No doubt about that. That was a hard hit Jimmie Johnson just took, too. Hard hit.
You can see it's affected Jimmie Johnson, too. He's trying to catch his breath right here.
The angle that he went in, the speed that he went into that wall, thankful for all the safety equipment in these cars, the safer barrier that he hit, that was vicious.
Yeah, even with all the safety aspects of the cars and track, that hurt. I promise, that hurt.
Try to make an analogy, but it would be like somebody basically taking a baseball bat and hitting you right in the stomach. That's as close as I can come.
You can see Jimmy feeling the effects of that as he walks away from that battered race car. A huge blow physically, and certainly a blow for his championship, as he's going to finish somewhere down around 35th, 34th place in this race tonight.
It's probably the hardest Jimmie Johnson's ever hit in his career.
So racing for 7th place, Ryan Newman 39 to his outside.
Yeah, you could see that car just start to wiggle where he was trying to get in the gas to be able to stay beside Ryan Newman and maybe complete that pass down the back straightaway. Overcorrects here, hard impact. See the rear wheels come off the ground.
Look at the air that car got with those back wheels, how hard it went into the wall. Watch the back tires here.
Well, look at the wall, too. Can't imagine what that'd been like without that safer area.
Now this is where we really have to thank NASCAR for all the hard work and efforts, the manufacturers, everyone involved that makes these race cars and these racetracks so much safer for the drivers.
So the hands start to go.
Yeah, and you can see in that position happens to everybody, even the very best in our sport.
Terrible hit for Jimmie Johnson. Tim Brewer in our Craftsman Tech Garage can show us more about these safety innovations that we've been discussing that certainly helped Jimmie Johnson there. Tim?
I guarantee you, AB, there's nothing that saved that man any more than the energy-absorbing barrier. Because if it would have been concrete when he'd have hit there, that would have been a very bad incident. But what happens, this barrier right here, it absorbs the basic blunt of the trauma itself. But this area here, that's what really comes in. AB, because what this material does, it actually compresses. It takes away the energy. But that barrier, it's back in this car about like that. It was a devastating lick. But something else that deserves a lot of credit is that Hans device. Because when he went directly in that wall, this is what stopped his head from going forward. Can't thank these people enough for what they do as far as saving race car drivers. Guys?
All right, Tim. Some pit strategy being played out here. Most of the leaders have stayed on the track. Watch this one more time.
Yeah, you can see, look how much energy that wall absorbs. That's the idea here, and it takes that energy into the wall instead of transferring it through the car into the driver.
Some pit stops. Tony Stewart in. Doc?
Tony Stewart coming back in to be able to put tires on and make one final adjustment. Just couldn't catch a break. 2 previous pit stops. He's on pit road and the yellow comes out. And of course then the contact with Biffle damaging the right rear fender. A good car early on. Now a frustrating night for the 2-time champion.
Also pitting A.J. Allmendinger, David Reagan, Greg Biffle, and Joey Logano, lead lap cars there. And yes, Biffle did stay on the lead lap after that crash we saw earlier. Rusty Wallace, Brad Doherty down in the ESPN pit studio for the night. Huge moment in the championship for Jimmie Johnson, as serious as the crash was going forward as well. That one's going to hurt.
Alan, that one will definitely hurt. There is no doubt about that, although that 48 car, that is a tough gang to put down. It really is. I've seen them so far behind a couple weeks ago, only to make up so many points. So I'm not going to tell you they're out. With 3 races to go, or 3 big races to go at Martinsville and Phoenix and Homestead, those are the ones I'm looking at. And the wild card in Talladega, Alabama.
Yeah.
Brad, that's going to be a lot of races he can make up points. Anybody else, I'd say you can't do it. But this gang seems like it can keep coming back.
I'm going to tell you right now, that 48 crew is in a lot of trouble, Rusty. It's going to be really tough for them to overcome some of these cars like a Matt Kenseth, like Carl Edwards, like Kevin Harvick, who are running well. And we saw that car lose that air like we talked about. AB, what you got for us, buddy?
Watching Jimmie Johnson walk from the medical center, Brad, and up to Dr. Jerry Punch.
First of all, Jimmy, a very, very hard lick. How are you?
I'm okay. That one stung for sure. Just thankful to have safe race cars, safe walls, softer walls, and everything did its job. It was a pretty big impact. So just unfortunate that we're wrecked. We got into turn 1. And I think at 39 just was real tight to my inside or to my outside, and it pulled me around on corner entry. And from there on, I was just kind of hanging on.
As you talk about the impact here tonight, how about the impact overall in the title now? You know, people early on counted you out. You bounced back with a big win at Dover. Now 5 races to go. What's your mindset?
We just got to go racing. That's all there is to it. I mean, there's 5 races left, and a lot can happen in those 5 races. But definitely not the night we wanted. I mean, this is not going to help us win a 6th championship. But I promise you, this team and myself, we won't quit. We'll go for every point we can from here on out, and hopefully we're still champions at the end of the year.
Glad you're okay.
Thanks.
Jimmie Johnson. Alan?
All right, Doc, getting ready to go racing with 12 laps to go. Carl Edwards will be 1 spot farther back on this restart than he was before. He faked coming to pit road, or didn't quite come to pit road, and lost a spot in line in getting back up to speed right there.
I'm not sure it didn't help him.
Put him on the outside lane?
Yeah, puts him on the outside. I'm not sure that's not a better spot.
I don't think so, but
I don't think it was planned, but I'm just saying I think he's better off.
Matt Kenseth with lane choice this time. Kyle Busch in that inside lane. Three wide again. Denny Hamlin to the bottom.
A lot of pushing and shoving here.
Here comes Casey Kane 3 wide.
Marcus Ambrose and Hamlin still bouncing off each other. Kenseth, Busch, Edwards, Harvick, Kane. And this knot. Kurt Busch, remember, got the free pass a couple of yellows ago. Right now running in the top 10.
And I'm not sure they're finished wrecking yet.
Here comes Edwards for second on Kyle Busch.
Seen this be a difficult pass to make. Edwards, can he hang on to his car here? There's Kevin Harvick, who's worked his way up to the 4th spot now.
That's more sparks flying on turn 4 back in the pack.
That's Brian Vickers, who scuffed the wall in the 83. Everybody's okay.
Harvick?
Yep.
Yeah, Swift right there. Casey Kane to the inside.
Kane through. That's 4th place. Now Ambrose on Harvick. And that. Kurt Busch is the lead lap car in there, along with David Reagan in the 6th. Some other lap cars mixed up in that.
Brad Keselowski in the 2 is he's in the lucky dog spot should the caution fall.
Yeah, we've heard both the 2 and the 22 complain about their engines tonight. I'm sure they'll have some talks about that at their team meeting this week.
Kurt Busch slipping back. Looks like he's really got his hands full in that 22. David Reagan going to go by him. That's for position.
Man, that was a power slide of Kurt Busch.
Scared Paul Menard right there.
Good demonstration of having his hands full.
Yes.
That looked like it scared Kurt Busch, though. He didn't back off.
Ryan Newman, 39. That's for a spot, 10th and 11th. Logano got the free pass just a little bit ago.
Same situation Jimmy Johnson was just in on the inside of that 39.
Contact there.
Teammates.
Paul Menard, 27. Jeff Burton, 31.
Yeah, they're no teammates right now. Go get what you can.
A.J. Allmendinger, 43. Denny Hamlin, 11. That's 7th and 8th.
Allmendinger's had a good night. He slipped back outside the top 10 there for a while, but looked like they got a handle back for this car.
That smoker just went to the garage area. It was Casey Mears. That's what you saw off of turn 4.
Yep. That momentary side-by-side racing, Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch, gave Matt Kenseth that much gap before Busch was able to shake him. So you have enough time to run him down. Not a lot of laps left.
Jimmy Phoenix done a nice job adjusting this car for Matt Kenseth throughout the night. Had it a little loose for a lot of the night. Looked like they've got it pretty much dialed in right now.
Kenseth slightly faster lap time than Kyle Busch last time. Tony Stewart trying to make up a point if he can get a spot on Denny Hamlin.
Well, it's been a nice rebound for Tony. He was well outside the top 10 after a lot of pit stops in the last 30 laps. Been kind of their theme the last 2 weeks, but he's making a nice effort. Get some more points here.
As they run, still going to lose a little ground to both Carl Edwards and Kevin Harvick, but a little being operative word there.
Yeah, keep them within striking distance. A lot of racing to go for 5 more.
And a big wild card coming next Sunday, Talladega. Anything can happen, and does. 3 laps to go.
One thing Matt Kenseth does not want to see right now is a caution. He knows that he's got plenty enough of a lead to hold Kyle Busch off.
Matt Kenseth started the championship 4th in the standings. Was a front runner for most of the race in the opening chase event at Chicagoland Speedway. Had to back off to save fuel, then ran out of fuel in the closing laps, wound up finishing in 21st. Followed that up with finishes of 6th at New Hampshire, 5th at Dover, 4th at Kansas. Started the night tonight, 5th in the standings, within 12 positions on the racetrack, 12 points of the leader. In position to nearly half that tonight if he can hold the lead for another lap and a half. Two-time winner this season sees the white flag at the starter stand. 1 more lap to go for Matt Kenseth. Edwards and Kane racing there for 3rd and 4th. Edwards needing to hang on. That could be a valuable point in the championship. Wants to keep that 4 behind him. Last night, Kyle Busch lost the lead on a late restart to Roush Fenway Racing's Carl Edwards. Tonight, it was Matt Kenseth that got by Kyle Busch in the late going. Kyle will have to settle for 2nd again. The Wisconsin driver, Matt Kenseth, scores a win at Charlotte, a huge momentum builder in his championship. It's Matt Kenseth taking race 5 in the chase. Kyle Busch, Edwards, Kane, and Ambrose, your top 5. Tony Stewart with a nice rally for 8th, and Kevin Harvick hanging on for 6th. Jimmy Johnson is going to finish 34th in this one.
Thank you very much, boys. Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy Bennett. You are the man. Yes! That we won this thing. Woo!
First win for Jack Roush since 2002 at Charlotte.
For Matt Kenseth, 3rd win of the season, 2nd win at this racetrack. His first was his first career win and came back in 2000. He's quiet. He doesn't say a lot. Got a terrific sense of humor. And I think most of his peers in the garage area would agree. He's one heck of a race driver.
He has a tremendous amount of talent. Has shown that ever since he came into this series. Showed it once again tonight.
That's his talk over that race car.
And Matt Kenseth giving us our Goodyear winning moment. A little celebration here at Charlotte Motor Speedway after a big win in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Well, Jimmy Fennig had the right calls tonight, Dave.
Yeah, and he's one of those quiet guys with a good sense of humor, too. And I think he might have been pulling my leg earlier today when he said they weren't sure if they were going to be good. How did you do that tonight and pull that off, Jimmy?
Well, the guys at all the guys pit stops, my engineers, with our changes, everything went really good tonight. The car was close at the end, and Matt, he was mad on his restart, so he made up for that.
And he got that outside line at the end, guys, and really put it to him.
Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards had that race for second, just long enough to allow Kenseth to get away. Talking it over. Although there seemed to be one party doing a lot of the talking there.
Yeah, one was listening a lot.
Carl Edwards, third place tonight. Shannon?
Well, down here with Carl Edwards, we have to ask you, what was that conversation with Kyle like?
We were just talking about the way we were racing there. Overall, it was a really good day for our Aflac Fusion. I mean, just really good. I was hoping we'd come here and have a strong run. We led a couple laps. I gotta thank everybody that's behind us. This is our, we're trying to have a championship effort here. We dodged some bullets tonight. Gotta thank Aflac, Ford, Kellogg, Scott, Subway, Sprint, all the fans, Wiley X. I think, are we still in the points lead?
5 points.
All right, so we stretched out. That's 5 times the lead we had coming in, so that's good.
Absolutely, but great points night for you guys. Did you feel like maybe he was racing you a little hard?
We're fine. We talked about it. I'm fine with it, and we'll just move on. I think it's important, when you don't really know what's going on, you're a little frustrated. It's important to me to just go talk, understand the other guy's position, and hey, this is NASCAR. We're racing as hard as we can, and we didn't wreck each other. That's the big thing.
Thanks, Carl. Great points night for the 99. Mike?
Catching up with Kyle Busch now. Kyle, first off, we saw Carl walk over here. He leaned in your window. What did he say to you?
He just said he didn't like the way I raced him off turn 2 that one time when he got under me, but he made me loose, and it was steering me down the track instead of my butt going up the track, and I was just trying to hold on and not do anything, and then, I side drafted him to stay alongside of him down the backstretch, and that was it, just trying to keep my position, but that's 17, man. He found something that none of us could find tonight, and made something out of nothing. So he just outdrove me. But great run by the M&M's Camry. Guys did a great job. Gave me a great car. Best run we've had here in a while. But still coming up short.
Big picture. Gained a couple points in the standings. Gained quite a few positions in the standings. How do you look at things now that we've reached the halfway point of this chase?
You got to keep finishing like this. That's all it takes. It's not that hard. We finally finished where we ran, except we didn't. We still lost a position, which is 4 points essentially, because you get 3 for bonus points of winning a race. So, it's just, it's frustrating, but we'll take it. And if we can finish second here on out, we might win this deal. But these other guys, 99, 29, finished too good tonight too.
You can understand the frustration, Alan. He led a race high 111 laps, still came home second.
But he has it pegged exactly right. Just keep finishing up front. Keep contending to win races. And you will contend for this championship. Let's head to Napa Victory Circle. Matt Kenseth has driven his Ford in after a big win tonight in Charlotte.
That was something else, especially after all these fuel mileage races, Matt. We've talked about it. Those are strategy races. You won on power tonight.
Yeah, after all the toilet jokes about my restarts, we finally got a good one at the end, and I was pretty mad if I was going to lose this thing on restarts for these guys. So thankfully we got a good one there at the end. I really need to thank Sprint, Ford, Crown Royal. Crown Royal, it's not too late to come back. We don't have any sponsors yet for next year, and this should be a good audition. So, and Fluid Master, of course, for being on this weekend. It was a great night for us.
This has been an interesting Charlotte few weeks here. Your wife, Katie, wasn't able to race in a Celebrity All-Star race here, and then you go to Victory Lane.
Yeah, it's been an interesting few weeks, but can't be prouder of Jimmy Fennig and Mike and Nick and Chip, Robbie, that whole gang. These guys have been doing a great job. We've had really fast cars all 5 races of the chase. Who knows what's going to happen here the next 2 weeks, but we've been strong, and it's nice to get the W.
You're up 2 spots to 3rd. How does that feel?
Well, that's good. I mean, it only matters where you are last lap at Homestead, but it's been a great 5 races, and it always feels great to win. Winning is what racing's all about, and it always feels great no matter where you are in the points.
After tonight, it looks like Matt might be up near the front at Homestead. Shannon?
6th place finish for your second in points, Kevin Harvick. We know how much you love this place. A little bit of a sigh of relief that you got through with the top 10.
we made it through the first 5, and that was our, we've had a lot of goals that we've achieved this year, and that was one of the goals that we wanted to achieve, was to get through these first 5 races with, having a deficit that was not too great. So 5 points. If you'd have told me we'd come out of Charlotte with a 5-point deficit going into the next 5 races, I'd be really happy. But everybody did a great job on our Jimmy John Chevy. It wasn't great, but it was better at the end of the race than it was in the first half.
Thanks, Kevin. Guys?
Shannon, thanks. Another solid night, if not spectacular, for Kevin Harvick. Kyle Busch, spectacular tonight. Let's not lose sight of the fact that he started last and was in position to win this thing until giving up the lead with 25 laps to go. Championship standings, 5 down, 5 to go in the chase. Obviously, the big number tonight, Jimmy Johnson, with that 34th place finish.
Yeah, but I think one thing we just heard Matt Kenseth say, they've had a good car all 5 races. Keep going.
And Kyle Busch, he's still in this thing 5 races into the chase. I think this is the best he's been at this point in any chase of his career.
Tony Stewart finished 8th tonight, Doc.
Well, pole sitter Tony Stewart, looked like you had the car to beat for much of the first half of the race, and it started going away. When did you start having issues?
We made it to about halfway and then just got tight. It's just, the clean air was really, really valuable to us. I mean, we'd still get tight in a run, but we could get out enough early that we could hold them off. But, just when we got back in traffic a little bit, we never could get it cutting and turning in the center of the corner. It just kept getting tighter and tighter, and once you get some heat in the right front, it'd kill it.
Well, in spite of all that and all the efforts, he still comes home with a top 10 finish.
Marcos Ambrose brought his car home 5th this evening in Charlotte, and 3rd consecutive top 10 for this team. The first time in your career you've been able to do that. What's gotten into you guys?
It was time to harden up. We had a really good Watkins Glen period there. We got a couple of race wins in a couple of weeks, and we hit a hole, and we've just dug ourselves out of that, and we got our mojo back. But I just got to thank Stanley and DeWalt and Ford for giving me the opportunities at RPM. Just really thankful for it. We got Bostic on board for the first time. I'm sure we had a good TV night for them. So thrilled to be given these opportunities, and just great to be able to bring it home in a good result. You're racing around those chase guys, and you got to do the right thing. And I bumped Carl Edwards there on pit lane. I feel really bad about it because it could have ruined his night, but thankfully didn't hurt his car. And you're around the 17, and you're around the 11, and you're around the 99. Just you don't want to change the outcome of the championship for these guys, but you want to race for your own team and try and win. So it was a really delicate night out there, but we had a great race car.
Just how good was the race car, Alan? Well, look at this guy's face after 500 miles. He's not even sweating.
Marcos Ambrose, terrific top 5 finish tonight for the Australian. And 5 down and 5 to go in this championship. Talladega next Sunday, and Martinsville the Sunday after. Going to be interesting races. The biggest and smallest tracks on the NASCAR Sprint Cup circuit. And if you want to join us at the racetrack, that's how you find out about tickets. Back down to Doc.
I heard Brad Keselowski just tell some guys here he took a 25th place car and finished 16th with it. Do you feel fortunate or frustrated?
Frustratingly fortunate, so a little bit of both. We were just a little bit off today with the Miller Lite Dodge, and did the best we could to recover from it. And the yellows really hurt us when it came out. We had just pitted and we lost our lap that way, and just kept fighting, and eventually at the end made up a few spots, which was good, but just wasn't meant to be today, so we'll have to go back and keep working on it.
Brad Kay will drop a couple positions in the standings. Alan?
A notable mention as well, Casey Kane, 4th place tonight. A.J. Allmendinger, 7th place tonight, along with Ambrose up there racing around those championship drivers. ESPN's Monday Night Football, Brandon Marshall and the Miami Dolphins looking for their first win against AFC East rival, the New York Jets, while Mark Sanchez and company look to remain undefeated at home and get back in playoff form. Dolphins-Jets on ESPN's Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern, also available live on Watch ESPN. Coverage starting at 7 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's. Well, nice crowd tonight turned out in Charlotte to see race 5 in the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. A race that ran green for a lot of it, a race that saw some pit strategy turn the running order inside out at times, and a race that saw some late restarts and a big late crash really turn the final results out and send one driver, the 5-time consecutive champ, to a difficult night, a difficult finish, and a big loss in the championship standings. And so it's on to Talladega a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, gosh, we just thought this was exciting. Yeah, rest up a little bit and get ready for that one, because it's going to be a lot of fun. And the championship, as we see it right now, could change dramatically by the time we finish 500 miles there next Sunday.
It could change in the tri-oval at Talladega, coming to the checker flag.
So that's Talladega next Sunday, 1 Eastern on ESPN, starting with NASCAR Countdown, presented by Napa. And Sports Center on ESPN has more post-race coverage coming up tonight from here in Charlotte. Up next on ABC, your late local news, except on the West Coast. So the only night race in the Chase had a spectacular finish. Some late restarts where Matt Kenseth at one point had to pass Carl Edwards for second and then get by Kyle Busch on 2 late restarts. And the Wisconsin native has gone to victory lane tonight, making a huge statement in his bid for another NASCAR Sprint Cup Series championship. Matt Kenseth, your winner from Charlotte. Thanks for watching ESPN on ABC. It's off to Talladega 1 week from Sunday.